excursions or insights or so. It's nonetheless not the future of our business, I would say. It's still an auxiliary.
Yeah.
Jetzt ist 13:59 Uhr. Gut. So. Warum muss ich das freigeben schon? Aber noch nicht teilen. Warum? So then I would like to open the SME Development Forum 2021, which we conduct by support of USAID and in cooperation with our German foreign trade support partners in Ukraine, in Belarus, and in Georgia. My name is Tobias Baumann. I'm the director of the German Azerbaijani Foreign Trade Chamber. And I have the honor to greet you all here in our forum, which is part of a bigger project. Jasminka is in a minute talking you something about USAID's aims and the sense of these projects. And I have to say that I'm quite pleased that we managed to bring businesses together on that platform, on that format. Of course, you understand it was planned in a different way. It was planned in a physical delegation visit. It was planned in a physical forum and in physical trade fair visits of a delegation formed by 16 companies from these 4 partner countries. And all this is now put to online format. And I hope that nonetheless you will enjoy our presentations and our insights and research results, which we are going to present today and tomorrow. We start with a short greeting by Jasminka Varnalieva. She's Chief of Party in USAID EDGE project, Economic Development, Governance and Enterprise Growth, and is targeting to the 4 CIS countries or NIS, newly independent states, which is not that new anymore, to be honest, but that's the term which is used in that respect: Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, and Ukraine. Jasminka, once more, thank you for the support with USAID money to support SME structures in these 4 countries and for us to give us the opportunity to conduct this project. The floor is yours. Thank you very much again.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome, dear participants, dear friends. Welcome to this SME Development Forum 2021, focused on online cooperation platform between Germany and Eastern Partnership region. As Tobias introduced me, my name is Jasminka Varnalieva, and I'm Chief of Party of the EDGE project, which stands for Economic Development, Governance and Enterprise Growth, which is regional activity in Europe and Eurasia that aims to create inclusive, sustainable economic growth and to support intra-regional and Euro-Atlantic integration. It covers a total of 12 countries in 3 regions, in Caucasus, Ukraine, Moldova, and Belarus, and 6 countries of the Western Balkan region. The EDGE core component activities promote regionalization, reduce barriers to trade, and support growth of SMEs in 3 key value chains: fruits and vegetables, incoming, eco, agro, and adventure tourism, and light manufacturing industry. We also have the buy-in component, which allows for quick mobilization of activities and resources in any EDGE country, and it may be for bilateral and multi-country regional activities. Main activities of our project are structured around 3 main intermediate results. The first one is focused on improved business enabling environment and reduced barriers to trade. In fact, we just finished a trade facilitation agreement assessment of WTO for all 12 countries. We yesterday, actually, I sent the final version of the report, and we're going to organize another big conference in the middle of this month to present the findings and to improve the compliance of all countries in the region with the WTO trade facilitation agreement. The second area of results is focused on improved financial sector stability and increased access to finance. And the third area of results activities are related to improved competitiveness through value chain and trade promotion. In addition to these, to achieve its overall objectives, EDGE created a grants under contract mechanism to promote capacity building and sustainability of local organizations, government entities, and private sector. EDGE grant activities are intended to improve the competitiveness of SMEs within the targeted value chains, increase their trade with the EU and other Western markets, increase their ability to comply with EU standards and take better advantage of EU trade arrangements in the region. Fostering digital transformation and increased and promoted use of ICT technology is also in the focus of the grant activities. The grants aim at generating synergies between USAID projects working in economic growth and bringing together stakeholders across countries to work on mutual problems. Grants include beneficiaries or implementers in a minimum of 2 countries in the region in order to build partnerships and linkages among local organizations and the private sector to work regionally. AHK is one of the winning participants in the grant application process, within which 115 applications have been submitted, evaluated, and finally 10 applications were selected and grants in the amount of 1.25 million have been awarded. In addition to the 10 core grants that have been awarded, we also awarded 2 buy-in grants supporting transparency of the privatization efforts in Ukraine through the state-owned enterprise reform rapid response activity. EDGE grant is supporting AHK Azerbaijan efforts to foster the competitiveness of the SMEs from Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, and Ukraine from the selected value chains by promoting new business linkages of domestic suppliers with German international investors, establishing cross-regional cooperation, and accelerating the digital transformation and promoting female entrepreneurship. I'm very honored and happy to join you today and address such a distinguished audience, including eminent experts, business association, and business community representatives, as we mark the milestones in implementation of project and activities incorporating in partnership between EDGE and AHK, German-Azerbaijani Chamber of Commerce with its partners. So I hope and I expect that this platform, this forum will be very successful, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you very much, Tobias.
Thank you very much too. And I would like to switch over to what we are going to do today. That's the most easy part of this presentation today. So you see that we have panel 1 and panel 2. After the opening 2 panels on exporting to Germany and the European Union, opportunities and challenges of agricultural enterprises in Eastern Partnership countries. So you heard that we have 3 focuses. One are sectors, namely agriculture and tourism, and the third one is female entrepreneurship, and panel 1 is dealing with agriculture. Will be moderated by my colleague from Ukraine, Alexander Markus, who is head of the Foreign Trade Chamber in Kiev. We will have panel 2 at 1 o'clock Central European time, trends and best practices of eco and agro-tourism in Germany and the Eastern Partnership countries, which will be moderated by Thomas Kimmeswenger, who is my colleague of the German Business Association in Tbilisi, in Georgia. Tomorrow, we will focus on panel 3, female entrepreneurship, building bridges between female leaders from Germany and the Eastern Partnership countries. And this will be moderated by my colleague and deputy, Nigar Bayramli. That is the program for today and tomorrow. The project itself does not consist only of this forum, and and nice words. It consists, first of all, that was the first step of the SME report in which we conducted in all the 4 countries. So it's a summary of the assessment of the companies surveyed, and we have had a pre-delegation workshop how to do business with Germany now in March recently. We will have today and tomorrow the SME Development Forum 2021, and we will have networking, courageous leadership tomorrow. We will have with the 8 selected companies from the tourism sector a virtual participation at the International Tourism Exchange Trade Fair, so to speak, in Berlin. And we will have with the other 8 selected companies for this project, Fruit Logistica, which is taking place in May, also in Berlin, to participate at these trade fairs and to develop their exchange opportunities with European and world partners. Now let me switch to the SME report. Let me tell you, first of all, that we have a website for all the programs, for the reports, for the findings, results, and statistics, and which you will find in the chat line later or right now already. I don't see it right now, but maybe it's already there. At that, in the chat line, you'll find the respective links to, for example, the SME report. I present you just some findings, and you can go in depth and better understanding of what we did there if you download it from this link, which we present you in the chat line. But now just some aspects of this report. As I said, we conducted this in all the 4 countries together. It was in total 150 companies which participated. We have, of course, asked for the COVID pandemic and the impact of the pandemic, and it is not surprising that 90% of the tourism companies and 70% of the agricultural companies said that this pandemic had a very negative impact on their businesses. Nonetheless, almost all, we found 98% of those surveyed plan to expand their business and to or prepare expansion, because that is one way, of course, to get out of the crisis better than you've been before. Challenges, of course, also not surprising, mostly and worldwide, is access to finance for small companies, for small and startup enterprises, high costs of market entry, and the reliable business partners. First of all, when it comes to internationalization of the business, these are the main topics of what is to be improved or what is to be supported for those who start a business in this at that stage. Of course, 90% of the surveyed companies would prefer to have trade with Germany and the European Union. You understand that Germany means more or less also European Union, since the trade policy, trade conditions is European field of politics, is not national, and all the trade, let's say, the trade issues which count for Germany, they count for the European partner countries as well. The European Union, thus, is the biggest market in the world. I think it still is the biggest single market in the world in terms of consumer and purchase power. And even with the Brexit, I hope it is still the biggest, but I'm not sure at the moment. I didn't recount it. And thus, of course, it is attractive for Eastern European businesses to expand their businesses to their or trade activities to the European market and to try to find partners there. Most effective measures to do so is, of course, still, despite all digitization and all virtual matchmakings, delegation trips, and participation in trade fairs. So far, the assessment of the surveyed companies. Also, one aspect is the vocational education training system, which we have in Germany, Austria, other countries as well in similar of Central Europe in similar shape, which gives a good fundament and a good basis also for young people to develop themselves, to find into the labor market and to get professional expertise. That is one of the biggest headaches until today, to find skilled labor force in many countries. And thus the vocational education system, as we have it in Germany and other countries, which has a strong combination of theory and practical, and of also involvement of the companies themselves into the actual education process and procedures, are quite attractive. And many companies find that it is good to get some expertise on that field. So, when it comes to women in business, legally everywhere, women have the same chance and the same opportunities to found a startup, to go to business, and to have a career. In fact, in reality, it is not what many would hope for this, and thus 88% still see improvements in terms of entrepreneurship and support for female activities and female founders. The SME report you see is to be downloaded from that address, and this address you will be finding in the chat line. So after this SME forum, I have said that the selected companies will be invited to participate at the tourism fair in Berlin and also in the fruit logistica. These are the companies which we have found for these activities: Greenwich Travel Club and Z Coach Travel from Azerbaijan, Comleaf and Trades and Wines from Georgia, Tour U and Bitak from Ukraine, and Agrotourism Cluster, Path of Velvis, and Belarusian Association of Agriculture from Belarus. In the delegation of Fruit Logistica, we find AHEC or AHEC and Agrarco from Azerbaijan, Huba and Priany Dom from Belarus, AgriTouch and Biofarm Pona from Georgia, and Berry Commerce and Aurora from Ukraine. These are their logos, and these are also the companies which are ready to cooperate and which are looking for partners during this development project. Good. So I think and so far we have managed the opening and we are right in time, and we would go over to the first panel, right? Or no, to the opening panel, not the first panel, but the opening panel. Do I invite for questions and answers right now? No. Afterwards. Okay. Afterwards, we will have questions and answers. You have also the chat line, right? Where you can put questions, F&A. We have a F&A option, which is to be seen here in the option line. And there you can put questions and requests for clarification whenever you want, whenever you have a need for it, so that we can cope with it immediately. Good. So then we come to the opening, not panel, but some keynotes by our partners from the countries, the representatives of German economy in these partner countries. That is, of course, first myself. Then we have Dr. Vladimir Augustinsky from Belarus, Thomas Kimmeswenger from Georgia, and Alexander Markus from Ukraine. We will have some greetings and maybe some short overview of the situation in the country. It is now 11:20 Central European time, and we have, I think, 25 minutes, right, left until the next program point. So then I would just like to start with my short, not presentation, but with my short keynote to Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan is, as you know, natural resource-based economy. Oil and gas is what is the most important thing here, and the wealth of the country, as far as it has developed over the last 20 years, is of course due to the oil and gas resources and to the business Azerbaijan was able to establish with these resources. The economy is about 40 billion euros big. That's the gross domestic product, and this means it is about 10 times less than, let's say, Austria. Austria has the same size in squares and in population, but the economy is, just to give you this comparison, is about 10 times bigger. So it's still room for development. There's still room for improvement, and I think the government has found that it is time to go for reforms to also diversify the economy, to get away from the focus on oil and gas only. And this is what happened over the last 3 or 4 years. Over these 3 or 4 years, we have seen major reforms in the customs sector, in the tax sector, in the labor law, in the social security system. And I have to say that these reforms are really serious. We have seen a good new organizational reform in the local administration. We have with Asan Services a structure which is able to react and to act quickly, digitalized and customer oriented when it comes to let's say the citizen of Azerbaijan to purchase a passport, to purchase a driving license, or to get whatever they need in their personal life. So, and second, it is also an agency which is giving the respective licenses and the needed information to businesses to develop. We've seen that this is functioning quite well, and it even becomes an export model for Azerbaijan. And insofar, the reforms are not overall a big success, but Sun Services, for example, is one of the big successes of these recent years past. We have seen major investments into the agro sector with investments of about $700 million into 45 agro parks. We see that the food industries is developed. We see that there's investments in new industry parks, also with respect to textile production, with respect to pharma production. We see the logistics sector developing. It's not only the Silk Road, but it's also, of course, the needed infrastructure, which is going to be established. Railroads, north-south and east-west, are now under construction and under modernization. We have a new port, a new seaport south of Baku in Alat, connected with a free trade zone, which is recently has become recently operative, and where Azerbaijan government is hoping to get investors which make use of this free trade zone. Also, road infrastructure is to be modernized. We have, of course, also investments in energy efficiency. Last but not least, from the German side, Siemens and Uniper are having a good project with Azerbaijan. Steam to power is the topic, and the big energy efficient turbine is installed there. We see that Azerbaijan is now switching over to export its gas resources. Mainly before it was oil, and now we come with a southern gas corridor also to a gas supply from Azerbaijan to Western Europe. And all these topics, of course, they are quite not really new, but they are at the moment really giving perspective for the country to cope with the future. We have also in the traditional oil sector a 40 billion until 2049, a 40 billion new investment project, ACG, Azeri-Shirag-Guneshli, where we see big oil resources to be explored in the near future. And all these investments, of course, in techniques, in exploration techniques, in maintaining techniques, they attract a lot of businesses from other countries here to Azerbaijan. Last but not least, of course, this is done in close partnership mostly with BP, with British Petrol, and American companies. And insofar, we have also from the European perspective some good investments here. The reform process has, of course, a little bit suffered from the recent crisis. We see sometimes that, for example, in the customs sphere, we go 2 steps forward and then 1 step back. This is, of course, a natural development. We have always an eye on this developments. We have from AHK a business climate survey, which is always covering the development of the reforms and the assessment by the businesses here in Azerbaijan. And this gives us also a good picture about which is top rated, which is lower rated now. And insofar, we think we can be also of use for the government to get orientation about the effectiveness of their reforms, and what the international businesses would like to improve more, or where they see more needs to act. This is to make clear that the dialogue and the context to the government, to the administration, is much better meanwhile than it was, let's say, still 5 years ago. I see that the government is very much getting back and taking into consideration what international businesses say, what AHK says, what AmCham, American Chambers says, or what also the French and the Italian colleagues tell them. So insofar, I see that there is more desire to cooperation, and there is a willingness of taking into consideration foreign expertise and foreign assessments to develop further the country and to make the reform process a success. Yeah, maybe that's so far from my side to Azerbaijan. And as we said, questions may come later. And for now, I switch over to Vladimir Augustinsky from Minsk, who is ready to talk about Belarus. Thank you.
Dear Tobias, thanks a lot. Greetings from Minsk. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, dear participants of this forum, on behalf of LHK Belarus, AKH Belarus, I would like to welcome you today and at the opening of the SME Development Forum and express my appreciation to our colleagues from Azerbaijan, Georgia, Ukraine, for efficient and fruitful cooperation within the preparation of this project, as well as to our participants for your interest to join our event. In the last year, global economic development was dominated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Belarus was overshadowed by at least 3 black swans, which were mentioned by Nassim Nicholas Taleb, as well as the first one, recession of the Belarusian economy against the background of the unfavorable global economic environment and difficulties in relations with the main trade and economic partner Russia, which economy is also suffering from recession. The second one, consequences of the COVID-19 pandemic on the economy. And the third one, ongoing internal political crisis, uncovered internal economic and social issues after the presidential elections in August 2020. All that under conditions of the lack of economic drivers for further development. Actually, we've got only IT sector, agriculture, and maybe a little bit construction with positive growth, and the necessity of structural and institutional reforms, which have been discussing for many years. In regional comparison, the impact of the pandemic of the Belarusian economy was relatively moderate, a real GDP decline of 0.9%. However, the economic outlook is marked by increasing uncertainty. According to the estimate of international financial institutes, a gradual recovery of the dynamics of the Belarusian economy is possibly not earlier than the next year. The future of the economy depends on a number of factors, including external environment, in particular, stabilization of the situation with pandemic and recovery of the main trade partners, the scale of the European Union and US economic sanctions, financial support from Russia, and delivery terms of Russia energy resources. Due to its favorable geographic position as a neighbor and as member of the Eurasian Economic Union, long-standing industrial traditions, comparatively high level of R&D and HR, Belarus strives to offer itself as an interesting nearshoring economic partner and investment location, including for exploring of EAEU market with over 180 million customers, as well as within the framework of industrial cooperation with export of goods to the EU. The country also has great potential for expansion as an east-west hub for the new Silk Road, Belt Road initiative. SME sector is one of the most important factors for economic development is generating in Belarus about 25% of GDP and provides employed population with one set of workplaces. The highest concentration of SME is demonstrated in trade, manufacturing, and construction. In general, the SME contribution to the economy of Belarus is significantly lower than in most developed countries. Among the main reasons which currently restrain its development in Belarus should be noticed lack of proper conditions for competition, especially on the part of large state organizations, poor development of institutional conditions for doing business, support infrastructure, insufficient access to financing, including microfinancial organization. For development of the SME sector and increasing its share and economic conditions for the development, increasing its share to the total gross value added in Belarus to 50% by 2030, the following measures should be released. Creation of favorable administrative, legal and economic conditions for the development of business activity, improving the mechanisms of investment, taxation and innovation in activities of SME, facilitating SME access to resources, state financial supports for SME entering the market, financial export and research activities of SMEs, improvement of the existing infrastructure for innovation activities of SME. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope that this forum will facilitate to develop and foster the SME sector in agriculture and tourism, as well as encourage the female entrepreneurs, promote the new business connections of domestic suppliers with the new business partners, and establish cross-regional cooperation. On behalf of the men participating in this forum, I would like to congratulate the beautiful ladies on International Women's Day and express my sincere wishes for the happiness and love, fulfillment of desires, and of course, especially health. I want to end with a quote from the lyrics of an American musician, Bobby McFerrin. It's a world-famous hit, "Don't worry, be happy." In the context of the recent realities, it's appropriate to add and stay healthy. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have got any questions, I am at your disposal. Thanks a lot. The floor is yours, dear Tobias.
Yeah, thank you very much also for your sophisticated philosophies and for the congratulations, of course.
It's for ladies.
Yeah. And we switch over to Thomas Kimmeswenger from Tbilisi.
Well, hello everybody.
Hello.
Just would like to keep it like Vladimir. Don't worry, be happy. Sometimes it seems like the only way we can handle this crisis. A warm welcome and hello from Georgia, Tbilisi. As the report showed, we are in quite of a lucky position as our country was growing the most within the last couple of years within all those Eastern Partnership countries. But of course, the virus did not stop at our borders. It hit us hard, and it definitely affected the most the SME sectors, mainly agriculture and tourism. And that's why at the time we are doing this study and doing this forum, it could not be a better time. But it's not all negative. We see that we are right now gradually opening up. We see slowly, very slowly, some tourists or business travelers are coming back. But definitely this corona crisis showed us that something like a virus, where most people say it was a so-called black swan event, is definitely not a funny part, but could also lead to certain positive effects. Positive effects, let me tell you about in the agri sector. First, let's start with tourism. Tourism is definitely one of the major factors here in Georgia. And before the crisis hit, tourism was accounted for around 8% of the GDP in 2019. Plenty of people are employed in the tourism sector. Unfortunately, all those people learned it the very hard way. If you're not able to diversify, you are definitely stuck in a situation that you cannot manage. The government tried quite a lot to bolster the situation with plenty of financial programs, but of course, in an overall situation where the economy is not that strong at all, something like a virus hit definitely distorts everything you've been working before. Let me be philosophical as well. We somehow realized that when the plan meets reality, the plan dies. We had plenty of good plans to even strengthen the tourism industry and strengthen agriculture, but the crisis with the virus showed us it's not that easy. For the tourism sector, there was also something positive at the beginning. We have seen agri-sector. We have seen plenty of our members of the German Business Association, but also overall agribusiness companies making very good profit during the time of the crisis. Because as we have seen in Georgia, 70% of whatever we use here on food stuff is imported. Now, we were always able to keep the logistics open, so it never broke. We never had a problem of really starving, but it showed the country that you're very vulnerable if 70% of what you consume is being imported. Those companies who are in agriculture here had plenty of work to do, and until the last quarter, they were also very happy of good profits. But then, of course, with the crisis also came the problem of the local currency lari, which devaluated in USD terms by 13% and in euro terms by even 25%, which meant for most of our clients that, okay, they were able to produce a lot, they were able to sell a lot, but with devaluation of the currency, they more or less lost everything again, but at least they were able to show a P&L of slightly negative or even positive, and they were not forced to fire all the employees. In the tourism sectors, plenty of people were not that happy. The government is trying a lot of things to get the situation better, but as you might have noticed, we also had elections October last year. The outcome was not so favorable for plenty of people, and since then we have the opposition boycotting the parliament. They are not entering. And about 2 weeks ago, we had our Prime Minister Gacharia leaving office. We already have a new Prime Minister, Garibashvili. He was in office before already. But of course, this is not the best time to bring economic progress to a country if you have to work around political stress as well. Still, we hope, as you have seen in the report, that the private sector, the SME sector, is able to manage most of the problems themselves and not to rely too much on the government. As you can see in the report, the SME sector takes around 59% of the whole economic sector, and employment even goes further. 62% of employed people in Georgia are working in the SME sector. As said, we are trying plenty of legal, legal changes to get more investment in. We are right now working on a new insolvency law. We are working on a new entrepreneurship law. All these things are going to happen sooner than later, hopefully, which makes Georgia, again, a lot more attractive for foreign direct investment. What we have seen the last couple of weeks, I unfortunately have to say, is a bit of a depressing mood in the overall population. We have some very bad outcome in one of those things. You might have heard about this program, exchange program with Germany, where Germany is inviting 300 seasonal workers in the agro sector to come over to Germany for 3 months. Originally, the program was sought for 300 people to go there. Now they extended it to 500 people, which sounds a lot. What's really worrying is that within the first 2 days, around 60,000 people here in Georgia applied to go. I don't know if the application is still running. The last time we checked, we had 92,000 applications for 500 seasonal jobs. Personally, I'm not that happy with this program because we would exactly need those people who are in the agribusiness sector staying here in the country and not leaving for seasonal work. But let's see how this plays out. What we see is that in the tourism sector and also in the agro sector, we have huge potential. We have good land, we have good people. They are willing to be educated in certain sectors, but what we see is we need a lot of support from the outside. That's why I say USAID program here is very good, on the right spot, at the right time. I also have to speak for the German government. They are helping a lot to bring knowledge into this country, and you might have seen in the report, plenty of exported goods from Germany to Georgia are machinery and chemical products, mainly for the agribusiness. I'm always trying to be happy and don't worry. And as such, I would welcome everybody visit our beautiful country as a tourist, but also as a businessman. We should never forget any businessman started as a tourist first. So bring in the tourists and then make them investors. Tobias, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. And thank you very much for this very detailed and very good insight into the Georgian affairs at the moment. And now we switch over to Alexander Markus from Kiev.
Yes, thank you very much, Tobias. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you very much that I have the opportunity to participate here. Good day to everyone. The SME sector actually in Ukraine is quite well developed. I was working here in this sphere already some, I don't know, almost 14 years ago, and made some statistics. And already at that time, it was quite comparable with what we have in some European Union countries. However, we have the most successful reforms we had here in Ukraine was in decentralization during the last years. We still have lack in rule of law and a lot of other spheres, but in decentralization, reforms were quite successful. How did that work? Mostly and very simply, the regions, and not only the regions, but most of all the cities and the how do you say, Bezirke, Landkreise in English, the districts. Yes, the districts. They actually received from every tax on salary, they today receive 65%. And this is not paid out via Kiev, but it's directly left in the region. The regional level still gets 15%. So we really saw a push here and much higher interest, especially at this local level, also on the regional level, but most of all on this local level, because with a chance to attract more business and to develop more business, and most of all, it's if this is official business with official salaries, the tax on the local level really goes up. And we have some communities where I spoke with the heads of the administration, and they said very openly, 3 years, 4 years ago, we didn't have money. Today, we don't have projects. Because if you then receive the money, you still have to administer this money. And you have to administer in a year's flow, because it's a budget year, you know. So the local level received more money and more responsibility, for example, in the educational sphere. This really was a success story where not very many, how to say, media speak about abroad of Ukraine, and Ukraine really have to tell more about that. We have a very attractive taxation for SMEs. It is, if you are really an SME, and if you correspond, there is a, how to say, a maximum range of your turnover. But if you're under this, then it's 5% taxation, a flat rate taxation on your turnover. And this is very, very attractive on the one hand. On the other hand, we also see some misuses in, for example, especially in the IT sphere. So IT business in Ukraine is organized like, okay, we have 5,000 employees, but they're actually not paying their social contributions and all their salary taxes. 99% of these 5,000 employees are employees themselves, and they are only paying this 5% flat rate. We had been discussing this topic with our colleagues in the government, with the financial institutions, and now they are working on that topic in order to set up some state program for shifting for resolving the situation, for shifting these employees, these virtual employees or virtual entrepreneurs to a, how to say, realistic taxation level. But as this is already working in Ukraine for many years, this is not so easy. And from time to time, we hear the arguments from the other side. Okay, we have no incentives in Ukraine, for example, for the IT sector. And that is why we lower the tax burden to that level, and we will not change the situation and fight against fake entrepreneurship, as, for example, it is done in Western countries. Yes, if you look at the sectors, and those also have been quite sustainable in the COVID-19 crisis, pandemic. It is IT, and we have really, as I said, a lot of SMEs, especially in this sector. Agriculture, for sure. I already see in my panel we will have Mr. Pilling. He is already here, and he will, I'm sure, will tell us something also about that topic. And agriculture is positive because people are always eating. You know, agriculture and food was not so much struck by the pandemic crisis. Yeah, that is as a beginning. We will have another panel where I will be the moderator afterwards, as a beginning insight into SME development in Ukraine. From my point of view, it would be enough.
Thank you very much, Alexander. And we have time now, 10 minutes for questions and answers. If there are questions, please go ahead. You can use the chat line, or you go direct, switch on your microphone. Haben wir denn Fragen hier schon stehen? Nee, ne? Anybody raising hands? Einer? Wo? Alexander mentioned the IT sector. Do you have, I mean, we all had been witnessing the events in Belarus, and the IT sector in Belarus is one of the most promising parts of the new economy and of the economy overall. Have you seen companies coming over from Minsk to Kiev? Because the conditions are as what we know. Is that a remarkable development, or is that not yet the case?
We saw some people coming from Belarus. I don't know the figure, but the government, the Ukrainian government, stated that they will have, how to say, a process for obtaining work permits light, more easily than usually. But I do not know how many specialists, IT specialists, actually use this offer.
Mm-hmm.
But we see it in Kiev. It's very interesting. We see more and more cars with Belarusian number plates.
Could be an indicator. Vladimir, do you have sort of indications that there is? Pardon, Alexander? Yeah, go ahead.
This is not a Volga or Lada. This is really mid-class cars. You know, this is nice new cars with Belarusian number plates.
So the vice versa question to Vladimir: do you have indications? Is that a topic among the business circles?
Thanks, Tobias. Alexander, I think Volga and Lada are old timers. It's not so cheap. Maybe it's expensive cars. I'd like to say a couple of words in Russian to this tema, and I switch off.
Okay, we have a translation option.
Yeah.
I hope everybody found this. We have translation into 4 languages. The conference language is English, and we have translation to German, Russian, Azeri, and Georgian, right? Just to make that clear. So go ahead in Russian if you want.
Я бы хотел пару слов сказать по теме IT в Беларуси. IT в Беларуси развивается в последние 15, даже больше лет, очень динамично. И каждый год прирост экспорта составлял порядка 10, 15, 20 и более процентов. За счет того, что в Беларуси были введены действительно уникальные рамочные условия, это известный так называемый хай-тех парк, парк высоких технологий, вот, там уже, в принципе, есть компании, которые можно отнести к единорогам. Несомненно, что это работа в первую очередь на западные рынки, рынок Европейского Союза и в первую очередь даже Америки, там 45%, по-моему, 40%. 5% это Россия. Для меня, как для белоруса, конечно, вопрос возникает, а какие же синергии существуют и отдача от парка для других отраслей белорусской промышленности. Тренд в сторону релокации существует, и он очень сильно обсуждался, особенно после событий августа, после выборов президента Республики Беларусь, и многие компании об этом говорили. На сегодняшний день количество резидентов парка высоких технологий даже увеличилось, и я думаю, что те компании, которые сделали эти шаги, я не думаю, что их много, вот, по тем автомобилям, которые Александр видит в Киеве, трудно утверждать, что это обязательно айтишники. В Беларуси есть и другие граждане, которые могут себе позволить такие автомобили. Так вот, условия, которые сейчас есть в Беларуси с точки зрения рамочных условий в парке высоких технологий, они уникальные. И если суммировать транзакционные издержки, которые необходимо компаниям, собственникам IT-компаний нести при переезде в Украину, Польшу или Литву, я думаю, что в этом случае эти бизнес-кейсы становятся не столь прибыльными, не столь маржинальными. Вопрос, конечно, стоит остро о необходимости нормализации ситуации в Республике Беларусь в контексте начала хотя бы диалога между властью и оппозицией, необходимости проведения конституционной реформы и учета мнений всего спектра общества. Конечно же, в Беларуси есть разные мнения, но тренд в сторону изменений, change we need, он необходим. Как это будет происходить, я пока затрудняюсь сказать. В Беларуси прошло Всебелорусское народное собрание, которое должно было каким-то образом послужить отправной точкой для дальнейших изменений. Моя точка зрения такая, что я не могу сказать, что это much ado about nothing. Конечно же, это очень опасный тренд, когда компании собираются уезжать из своей страны, менять локацию, но все-таки скорее больше разговоров на эту тему, чем реальных переездов. It was a little bit easier for me to speak to this topic in Russian.
Yeah, and quicker in Russian. Good. Thank you very much for this. We have a question. We have a question which is targeted to the newly liberated territories of Azerbaijan, where the German economy is about to invest there. I can tell you some recent developments. We have, of course, the government working on a strategy at the moment. The strategy, as far as we know, is aimed to include topics of sustainability, of modernity, and of energy efficiency, of renewable energy. So the aim and the wish of the government here is to make Karabakh and the surrounding regions a model, so to speak, for the future, for the 21st century. But so far the plans are not yet ready. The strategy is not yet out. But we know that some, of course, basic projects in the infrastructure are already underway. Some streets are already re-established, and of course, all of the local supplies have to be re-established, and so forth. So apart from the strategy, we of course have shown interest to bring in German companies when it comes to the reconstruction of the territories, when it comes to infrastructure, when it comes to machinery modernization of the supply on the ground. But first, this is businesses which are about to deliver expertise, engineering, and reconstructed facilities. Investment, so far, I do not see in the near future, since there is just not yet the infrastructure ready. You can talk about investments if you have people in place, if you have the environment in place, then it does make sense. So far, we just speak about technical support and delivery according to the needs of the government and according to the projects, which will be out, of course, over the year, but not right now. I think the issue is that big. It is 20% of the country. It's not only Nagorno-Karabakh, it's of course the surrounding territories too. It's 20% of the country widely devastated, and insofar Azerbaijan needs support from other countries. It needs, of course, financing support from development banks, from ADB, from World Bank, from others, as far as I understood, despite the fact that we have, or Azerbaijan has its reserves good in shape and a very low to the GDP measured depth. But nonetheless, this is a future project, and it's a lot of development and big work to do. There's a question to Alexander Marcus. По вашему мнению, какие есть другие факторы и методы стимулирования украинских МСП, кроме уменьшения ставки и количества налогообложения? Alexander, can you answer this question? You have to unmute yourself.
Is this in chat? Hello?
Yeah, it was in chat. In Russian, you can read it. Read it.
It's in Q&A, F&A questions.
Hi.
You see it?
Q&A, okay.
Yeah.
Ну, сейчас совсем недавно еще туда дополнительно подключили новую программу, которая у нас называется in English or in Russian? What is more convenient? Hello?
I think in German.
Soll ich das entscheiden? Ja, Englisch können wir dann machen, wenn das in Englisch geht. Sonst von mir aus Russisch. Wir haben ja Übersetzungsdienst, aber...
I switched to the channel. Я переходил на русский канал, поэтому...
Okay.
Я сразу буду отвечать на русском. Эту сниженную ставку налогового обложения они еще добавили дополнительно система кредитования, которая у нас называется 5-7-9. У нас сейчас ставка рефинансирования Национального банка на уровне 6%, Реально это значит, что банки дают кредиты среднему бизнесу где-то около 10, 11, 12%. И государство снижает ставки по этим кредитным ставкам, по процентам, на уровне 5, 7 или 9%. И эта программа достаточно хорошо воспринимается, потому что это, ну, это просто на самом деле то, что и международные эксперты требовали снижения кредитных ставок, и, соответственно, это был такой новый механизм, который как раз ввел новое правительство после выбора президента Зеленского. Я надеюсь, что я был слышно, что меня слышали тут. Кажется, проблема с интернетом. Совсем запросил.
So we have
микрофон
уже есть. We have another question, which is aimed to Thomas Kimmeswenger, and it is about the tourism sector. And the question is, what is the estimation or expectation when the tourism sector will recover from the COVID implications? Also, wann kann man mit Besserung rechnen? Wie stellt sich Georgien darauf ein?
Well, I think this is one of the questions where the plane hits reality. Everybody, of course, thinks we can start up from scratch within the next couple of weeks because flights are allowed to come in. Everybody is more or less welcome. You just need a negative PCR test or be vaccinated. And here the problem starts. If you want to be vaccinated, that's more or less difficult right now, because therefore you have to understand the structure of tourism. In 2019, we had around 7.7 million visitors. Only about 500,000 of them came from the EU. The rest is CIS and Arabian countries. Now, CIS, we already have our small problems of welcoming these guests, but of course they would be willing to come. But even those countries have problems of getting vaccinated properly. So it doesn't help if you have all the flights open if nobody can fly in the right amount of people who would like to fly. I always compare this to my home country, Austria. Yes, people would fly, but right now we are vaccinating people above 80. So even if they are vaccinated, people above 80 are not really those travelers who come to Georgia. It's more the people between 35 and 50. They will be vaccinated somewhere in August or September. So if you see it realistically, I think the year 2021 will not be a very funny year for tourism. Yes, it will get better, but people who are familiar with the situation, definitely more than me, they assume somewhere in 24, we might be able to reach levels of 2019, if ever again.
Thank you very much, Thomas. And we have a slight delay of about 8 minutes now. I would like to close the question and answer session. There is a last question. Какие программы образования и развития готовятся для малого и среднего предпринимательства в Азербайджане? Well, I cannot answer this question so specialized. There is in the reform process, we've seen the foundation of the State Agency for Vocational Education. We see investment in the vocational education sector. We see a lot of projects, European projects, German projects, American, Swiss, whatever, Korean. who deal with vocational education. They are all spots, so to speak, in a landscape which needs further improvement and development. So some activities individually guided are underway, and they do improvements on several spots. Like the Korean has equipped vocational education school. We have singular projects from the German companies Knauf and Grohe, who are training people on their instruments, on their facilities, and to improve services and of course also quality of work. We see that several schools are under modernization. We see that single companies like Sokar and the bigger companies, Caspian Shipping, invest in their vocational education facilities. But for the medium-sized businesses, especially, we do not see, Vladimir, please make your, yes. For the, especially for the medium-sized and smaller businesses, I do not see at the moment a major improvement at the moment. But as I said, we have several projects, and I hope that this is also spreading out, of course, at the very end of the development to the medium-sized businesses. Now we have Leila Mamadova raising a hand.
Hello, everyone. Yes, actually, I am not agree regarding your point about small and medium-sized entrepreneurs, because currently we have in Azerbaijan well-functioning organization which target development of small and medium-sized entrepreneurs of Azerbaijan, such as SME agency, and we've been working with them since 2018, and we see the improvement in this sector. Yes, they newly started, and currently there are many ongoing projects, and all projects aim development of small and medium-sized entrepreneurs for sure. And there are a lot of in different regional centers which target working with these people to improve their knowledge in specific fields. So I think it will be perfect if during another trainings or programs, even similar to this one, we will have chance invite our colleagues from Minister of Economy, especially Small and Medium Entrepreneurs Agency, because they have really a successful project, and I think a lot of people really need to hear them and to know how they can cooperate and be beneficiaries of their services in future. Thank you.
Thank you, Leila, for this clarification. And with that, I would like to hand over to Alexander Marcus to the panel number 1, where Leila Mamadova is also part of, agriculture. And we see a number of 6 speakers. And I think Alexander is going to introduce them to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Sorry for I had interruption with my internet connection. I reloaded my router. I hope this will be stable now. My panel is with the topic exporting to Germany and the EU, opportunities and challenges of agricultural enterprises in Eastern Partnership countries. And I would like to introduce the speakers. We have Dr. Per Brodersen. Hello, Per. I hope you are well. Per
Brodersen, thank you.
Per Brodersen is the director of the German Agribusiness Alliance. It's the German Eastern Business Association and primarily working with Eastern Europe and Central Asia. His focus is on international relations, and he holds a PhD in modern Eastern European history. His hitherto professional activities include the German newspaper Zeit Foundation, Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, Max Planck Society, and the German Institute for Economic Research DIW Berlin. Then I would like to introduce Ms. Nina Bambachidze. Hello, Nino.
Hello.
Very glad to see you. Nino, with her extensive business experience, has been holding a position of chairwoman of Georgian Farmers Association since 2012. Nino is a global young leader of the World Economic Forum and is the winner of numerous awards. Next is Igor Pakush, Vice Chairman of the Board, Belarusian Public Association of Farmers. I hope, Igor, are you here? Yeah, да, я вас вижу. Добрый день.
Добрый день. Слышали мысль хорошая. Спасибо за предоставленное слово для выступления.
Я только представляю спикеров, потом, чуть позже.
Спасибо.
Igor is the Vice Chairman of the Board of the Belarusian Public Association of Farmers, the main mission of which is to promote and protect interests of the farmers. Mr. Pakush has been farming since 1990s and owns his own farming enterprise with 1,500 hectares that produces potatoes and vegetables. The next speaker is very good to have someone really from the down-to-earth sphere of agriculture here. Mr. Andrei Pelling. Hello, Andrei. I hope you're well.
Hello. Good morning from Kiev.
Yes, Andrei Pelling is the project leader of the Agri-Trade project financed by the German Federal Ministry for Food and Agriculture. In addition, he is the head of our Food and Agriculture Committee at the German Chamber of Commerce, German-Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce. In the past, was working with well-known German retail chains in the sourcing sphere. Last but not least, Leila Mamadova, we already had her statement, Deputy Chairperson of the Agrarian Credit and Development Agency under the Ministry of Agriculture of Azerbaijan. Since 2018, Leila has been working in the Ministry of Agriculture of the Republic of Azerbaijan. She has held various senior positions in the ministry, mainly in the area of agricultural trade, international cooperation, and projects. Currently, she is a deputy chairperson of the Agri-Credit and Development Agency under the ministry. I hope I did not forget anyone. Yes, and let's directly go to the topics. We have a very tough schedule today, and I would then first start with you, Per. I see you have already switched on your micro. This is very good. You're the director of the German Agribusiness Alliance with the German Business Eastern Association that is working in all Eastern European partnership countries. When speaking about experts in this sphere, we are speaking about two different sectors. First, the sector of commodities like wheat, corn, and other agricultural products on the one hand. On the other hand, export of processed products, that means foodstuff, not raw material. I would like to ask you to focus on the first sector and tell us something in a time slot of not more than 5 minutes about the main obstacles to overcome when it comes to successful exports of commodities from Eastern Partnership countries into Germany and the European Union as a whole.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alexander, and thank you very much for all the organizers and for having me today on this panel. I think I need to confess that I'm a very proud Lada owner. I just followed the discussion in the panel before, so please bear with me. I just need a real car, unlike other people, obviously. Alexander, you asked a very, very important question. I just leafed through the news this morning, and I was very surprised to see what role agriculture plays in the countries we want to cover today. And I was pleased to read that the Ukrainian President Zelensky said that the European standards for food production will be one of the main foundations for the economic development of Ukraine in the future. I think that's really important to know, that Europe is here the standard for the future of Ukrainian agriculture. I searched also for the keyword Georgia, for example, and I have to say that the numbers that I found, the way that Georgia has boosted its exports, for example, of mandarins to 39,000 tons is really, really remarkable. So that shows us again that there is a lot of potential for future developments. And the same goes, of course, also for Azerbaijan, for example. When you look at those really impressive numbers of more than 200,000 tons of vegetables produced in exported from Azerbaijan last year. So that's a really big potential, and we should have a look at what kind of possibilities we have to see these products being exported for the West, to not only to Germany, of course, but to the European Union as a whole. Since we already mentioned before that, of course, due to the United Trade Policies of the European Union, if you want to export to Germany, the trade policies and regulations of the European Union do apply here. We have a very distinguished expert on the details of exporting fruits and vegetables, for example, to the European Union, to Germany, among us, André Pilling. So I won't detail too much on the legislatory aspects of exporting towards the West, but I'd like to draw your attention to two other factors. There are, of course, the technical aspects. If you want to export to the West, that you need to take care of the much needed infrastructure, for example, transport, cooling, storage of especially very sensitive products as they need to be taken care of during transport to the companies who want the produce from your place. So that means you have to fulfill legal requirements, of course, and you need to take care of the quality of your goods. But very, very important. If I say it's the fact number 3, it's most certainly not ranking. Number 3 is the currency that comes in here is trust. It is reliability, and people in the European Union opting for delivering your goods to their factories and to their shops. They are very, very much keen on prospects for a durable partnership, for a sustainable partnership with you. So that means very, very important is for future partnerships and relationships is a timely delivery and a very proactive communication between both sides. And I think this is something that must not be neglected when it comes to establishing partnerships and exporting goods from east to west, and of course also vice versa. So this is all about business culture in a sense, and that commitment to agreements is very, very much required. We have seen examples, companies in Denmark, for example, ordering a lot of apples from a certain country. I won't tell you the name for the time being. They were labeled as organic produce, and once all the apples got shipped to Denmark, they finally found out that this wasn't organic produce, that were remnants of pesticides inside. And do you think that company in Denmark will ever have business with that country again? I doubt it. So this is really, really important, not to have the idea of grab and go, but to establish durable and enduring partnerships to have here a reliable and sustainable partnership for the future. I will put in the chat a slight link for further information when it comes to the legal requirements for exporting to the European Union. And of course, I will also post my email address. So whenever future questions should arise, you can contact me if you like. Это и возможно и на русском языке, как вы хотите. Я думаю, сегодня это очень важный момент совместного разговора, и поэтому я очень рад, что мы сегодня имеем возможность обсуждать все эти вопросы сотрудничества и для дальнейшего будущего. So thank you very much. Yeah, and to call in mind the song, Mr. Agustinsky, you mentioned, don't worry, be happy. I'd rather say, don't worry, grow berries. So let's head on to the next participant. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Per. I fully agree with you. This is mentally differences. They play a really major role. This is also my experience. Yes, Nino, you're the chairperson of the Georgian Farmer Association. And please tell us something about the experience of your members, companies concerning exporting to Germany and the European Union, again, in a time slot of no more than 5 minutes. Where are the barriers? Where do you see special opportunities for your Georgian farmers?
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for providing this opportunity to participate in the SME Development Forum and talk about the Georgian agriculture, its challenges and export opportunities. As you said, Mr. Alexander, I represent Georgian Farmers Association, which was founded back in 2012. And currently the association unites more than 4,500 member farmers, individuals, as well as the cooperatives, and it's mainly focused on domestic market. However, a small percentage of Georgian farmers member export to EU and other countries. So before going into further details, let me just briefly provide you about general information about Georgia. So Georgia is a small market economy with 3.7 million inhabitants, and agricultural employs 47% of the working population. However, the contribution of agriculture to GDP is 7.7%. So the government strategy is two-sided, being less dependent on imports of certain base products and better export opportunities for specialized products that fit the international quality standards. So as you know, we have signed deep and comprehensive free trade agreement, DCFTA, with the European Union in 2014. And the agreement enables Georgia, which is 60% import dependent, to benefit from movement of products, services. Can you hear me? I was suddenly, okay. So yeah, let me continue. Yes, and we have signed the DCFTA agreement in 2014. An agreement enables Georgia with 60% of import, the country is 60% import dependent, to benefit from free movements of products, services, and capital. So DCFTA is a step forward, I think, in the path to EU integration, and it's expected that DCFTA will promote the trade flows between Georgia and European Union. So around 10% of our association members are also exporting to European countries. So export products includes hazelnuts, and we are number 3rd in the world in the terms of hazelnut export, tea, wine, berries, honey and beekeeping products, and cheese, fruits and vegetables, dried fruits, and the bay leaves. Unfortunately, we are exporting to Russia, and as you know, Russia has occupied 20% of Georgian territory, and we are trying to do our best to be like very diverse, not to be dependent on Russian market only, and to also be part of to be able to export to European Union. So Germany is the strategic largest EU market for Georgian farm product. Export to Germany are dominated by processed hazelnuts, wines, and apple concentrated. Also, we found later that kiwi was opportunity for Georgia to export. Wine is also exported to Germany, Poland, and Italy as well as the Baltic states and CIS countries. So we saw that COVID-19 pandemic that was the world suffered from already 1 year passed, and we saw a lot of challenges among the SMEs. So access to financial capital has become more problematic. And in addition, key problems for Georgian companies which they are facing to EU are the EU border related to non-tariff technical barriers like food safety standards, also the market penetrations, how they have to enter to the European market. Georgia was included in the list of the safe countries to import honey, and in 2018, the first batches were successfully exported to Germany, which I think was a great success. So to be very short and to summarize, there is a way to go for Georgian agricultural products to secure a place at the European market, increase productivity, products quality, and competitiveness of SMEs. I think it's a key role to success. And the role of the local association is huge in enhancing the capacity of SMEs in the terms of knowledge transfer, facilitating in the introduction of innovation, new technologies, and building network opportunities. So I consider that the European market is really crucial for Georgia. And as an association, we are trying our best to make capacity for local farmers in order to satisfy international standards, to diverse their businesses, and to find the niche in European market. I know it's hard to compete with different countries, but I think Georgia has that potential. That's shortly the answer for your question.
Thank you very much, Nino. Very interesting. And we all love these wonderful Georgian wine. But there are a lot of other products, I know, yes. Да, я перехожу на русский канал. Я тоже читал просьбу немножко, потом надо, наверное, обеспечивать переводчикам маленький перерыв между панелями. Господин Пакуш, вы заместитель председателя белорусского, я так понимаю, наверное, общественной ассоциации фермеров.
Да, все правильно.
Да, как ваш опыт белорусских фермеров, какие они видят барьеры, какие возможности для ваших членов существуют в сфере экспорта в Германию и в Европейском Союзе? И, пожалуйста, как предыдущих спикеров, не больше 5 минут. Вас.
Спасибо большое. Я могу выразить мнение всех белорусских фермеров по поводу того, что, в принципе, раньше, не стоял вопрос о глобальных поставках на европейский рынок нашей продукции сельскохозяйственной, так как у нас был достаточно емкий российский рынок. В принципе, туда уходило до 60-70% производимой продукции, но в последнее время у нас российский рынок насыщается только своими производителями продукции, и актуальным становится вопрос по реализации продукции на европейские рынки. Но поэтому большого опыта реализации нету, но на сегодняшний день те вопросы экспорта продукции, которые у нас возникли, мы решаем за счет экспорта в Украину, Молдавию, Сербию. Вот. И я скажу, что покуда что существенных там требований таких глобальных не существует. Вот. Ну, существуют определенные там внутренние конфликты некоторых стран там, по фитосанитарному досмотру грузов, там еще каких-то, но по обеспечению какие-то законодательные, нормативные акты, все проработаны нормально и, в принципе, претензий нет. С европейским же рынком, то есть с рынком Западной Европы, конечно, лично вот мое хозяйство, которое, мы там еще видали ошибочку, у нас 1500 гектаров, основное производство – это картофель, овощи открытого грунта. Вот, то мы, в принципе, в прошлом году, в прошлом сезоне пытались экспортировать картофель, хотя были заявки на Францию. Вот, но в результате того, что присутствуют внутренние какие-то законодательные, нормативные акты, которые полностью просто развернули грузы в обратную сторону, и хотя прошли таможенный контроль, все, но, короче, грузы были. Это мы не понимаем основных причин. В принципе, нам на сегодняшний день интересно вообще, и мы понимаем, что на сегодняшний день западные производители, они как бы способны обеспечить свой рынок, и у них, конечно, есть определенная защита своего рынка. Вот. Но мы хотели бы предложить, мы поэтому изучаем более такие вопросы доработки продукции своей и предоставления уже в доработанном виде, и вопросы экологически чистых. У нас сейчас активно ведется работа по созданию, хотя это довольно кропотливая работа, по созданию производств, хозяйств, которые производят экологически чистый продукт. Вот, то есть у нас очень серьезная сертификация, поэтому, вот как говорил предыдущий представитель Германии, то есть, что мы не будем заниматься какой-то фальсификацией, а у нас есть нормальные производители, которые могут поставлять такой продукт. Это, допустим, в сфере, уже работает хозяйство в сфере производства зерна, то есть ржи, вот, плюс продукты переработки этого продукта, абсолютно экологически чистые, также продукты гречиха, то есть она как бы на немецком рынке востребована бывшими русскими людьми, вот, нетрадиционно, это может быть для Германии. Но и также мы планируем в виде доработки, то есть переработанный продукт, упакованный, фасованный и переработанный, то есть строить определенные объекты по этому вопросу и предлагать данный товар на европейский рынок. Это что касается прямой сельскохозяйственной продукции. У нас, кроме того, в Беларуси довольно-таки развит агротуризм. У нас довольно-таки хорошая природа, которая богата определенными такими интересными ландшафтными и довольно-таки природными, то есть водными ресурсами и многими другими, которые в результате последних нескольких лет довольно-таки серьезно пострадала. Информация чуть-чуть теряется, то есть примерно 90% вообще понесли убытки данное хозяйство и как бы находится на сегодняшний день многие на фазе закрытия. Поэтому, может быть, уже в связи с тем, что как-то нормализуется, более-менее в связи с прививками, в связи с этими самыми мероприятиями, все-таки надо налаживать логистику опять туристов сюда, с Европы, вот, для того, чтобы они могли здесь у нас как бы и отдохнуть, и оздоровиться. Вот. И также у нас еще хорошая такая система была охотничьих хозяйств. Вот. Но в результате тоже возникли проблемы с логистикой сюда европейских туристов. Тоже примерно на 90%. Но здесь не только логистика сама, но и сами средства доставки, там и оружие, и всего остального. То есть ну, желательно как-то упростить было, потому что самолетом просто, а если транспортом 7 человек, то как бы сложно. Насколько там, в чем там проблема, я этой проблемы не знаю, просто я их озвучиваю. Вот, поэтому нам на сегодняшний день на самом деле довольно-таки интересен, привлекателен рынок европейский. То есть у нас уже, как бы, если мы там раньше где-то отставали по некоторым вопросам, в том же самом и молочной сфере, и в этом самом, то сегодня Беларусь уже накопила довольно-таки такой большой опыт переработки молочной продукции и сельскохозяйственной продукции. В принципе, ну, европейцам стоит обратить внимание, что этот рынок довольно-таки такой, который может что-то предоставить интересное для Европы. Вот. Ну, в принципе, я не очень большой специалист этих форумов, поэтому я вам хочу сказать, что все у меня. Спасибо большое за внимание. Женщин, которые принимают праздник 8 марта, с праздником 8 марта. Любви им главное. Всего хорошего. Спасибо за внимание.
Спасибо большое, Игорь. Я опять перехожу на английский язык.
Давайте.
And thank you very much for the congratulations for the International Women's Day. Yes, this is upcoming. Yes, and we continue to the next speaker, dear Andre. You are here, the project leader of the German Agri-Trade project. Before you consulted foreign exporters, if I'm not wrong, that wanted to enter the German market, and you have a career background with one of the biggest German retail supermarket. When you not look at commodities, but processed food products that could go directly to Germany or European supermarket shelves, how foreign exporters from Eastern Partnership countries have to prepare themselves and how to develop their products in order to achieve that goal. The shelf position of Edeka, Rewe, or Aldi, Lidl, or any other food retail chain, again, and please limit it to 5 minutes.
Yes, thanks a lot, Alexander, for the introduction, and thanks for the opportunity to give an outlook on those questions you just asked. First of all, I would like to start with the success story of export from Ukraine. You know, the DCFTA, the Deep and Comprehensive Free Trade Agreement, has really helped Ukrainian exporters to access the German and the European market. And our topic is also opportunities and challenges. So, can everybody hear me? Yes? Okay. As you all know, the EU and Germany have the highest food safety standards and food regulations. And I'm very thankful to Per Brodersen that he addressed that issue already. So if the exporters want to have a realistic chance to access the retailers, you have to bear in mind that those standards are just needed and have to be well prepared. So analytical research of the markets is another key factor for successful export. You know, in our work in Ukraine, we always recommend the exporters. First of all, there's not such a thing as a general export strategy. You have to individually look at your target market. What are the competitors? What is the conditions for the food safety and regulations? And what are the needs of your buyers? And if you've identified those key questions, you can develop a successful distribution strategy. Generally, I can state that food is a growing market. You know, just one figure from 2018 to 2019, Ukraine exported goods in the food and agriculture sector of a value of more than 929 million euros. And that was a growth in comparison to the year before of 29%. We have to see that in the last 5 years, continually, every year we had double-figured growth rates for exports. Nevertheless, there are still some niches and some sectors, and then I come to a question for the processed food that are not fully developed. Yeah, I give you one example. We mentioned the wonderful Georgian wine. If I see that Ukraine is in the imports of wine in Germany, behind, and here the circle is closing, behind Denmark, you see that this is still a potential that no one has still touched. Speaking about the access of retailers, you should really try to get in direct touch. And then I come to speak about marketing and acquisition skills. Yeah, very often Ukrainian exporters expect a quick success. That is the wrong way to go, you know. As I said, a distribution or marketing strategy should be developed because you need a certain endurance. Yeah, if you now start to think about export, you shouldn't expect results before half a year or sometimes even 1.5 years. Why is that? German retailers are very strict on checking their suppliers. They very carefully check the certificates. And it is a step-by-step approach sometimes, meaning if you expect to sell a whole truck, that can happen, but it's not very often very likely that this is the first approach, because they will open you maybe some 20, 50 stores to make a test delivery to see if the product is moving in the supermarkets, and then you will grow step by step. Secondly, in the last year, especially in the COVID year, the food market in Germany has gone a little bit nuts. We had growth rates in 30% sometimes, and that meant that the logistic capacities in the warehouses, due to the higher consumption of the households, has also caused some stress for the buyers now to organize the logistics. So please prepare very well your strategy also, and I can only repeat what Per said, in logistic solutions. If you approach a buyer, they don't have a lot of time, you should have a real package of price list, catalog, X works prices, DDP prices, service providers for logistics, and all the certificates and standards that are needed for your individual category or assortment. Last but not least, contractual trust and security is also very important, and here we speak about good practice. We know examples where there were already contract negotiations or close contracts, and then the market prices for fruit and vegetables went up in the season and the exporters did not deliver. The problem is the German buyers, they don't identify that special issue to the company. It gives an image sometimes to the whole country. And so please be very loyal for your contracts and inform your buyers and partners proactively. You see, the whole topic about opportunities and challenges is something we do also in our AHK webinars or in the AgriTrade Ukraine seminars that we provide. You can discuss these topics for a whole day and still you have not touched any issue. But we are very happy to help you with AHK, with our Committee of Agriculture and Food. And we are very happy to help you with our project in Ukraine, AgriTrade Ukraine. And as you all know, we also have a German-Ukrainian Economic Forum on the 19th of March. So please join that one. And for any other questions, I will pass my email and our website, and we are very happy to answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrei. Very kind of you. And yes, absolutely also, and other speakers said the same, Per, in the beginning. These reliability is really a major factor. And as you said, unfortunately, one unreliable partner is also multiplied to the whole country. Yes, you want to add something?
Maybe one short addition, yeah. I try to touch our keywords or topics, you know, like opportunities, challenges coming to SME. Look, we have a certain startup culture in Ukraine, and it's also very helpful because, you know, especially in food, sometimes niche markets, such as organic, they are something that the European Union and Germany is looking at. You know, organic products, it's a growing market, it's still a niche, but continually growing. And it is very important also to understand that now the EU Commission is working on the EU Green Deal and on the Farm to Fork strategy. And you know, that also has some effects for climate neutral products. So still Germany is sourcing a lot of products from China or abroad, other countries, you know. I think the neighborhood advantage that the countries presented here today offer for sourcing questions of Germany is a very, very high potential for further business cooperation. And when I was a buyer for fruit and vegetables or for processed food at two of the biggest German retailers, we understood that the future question for having secured supply chains is access to raw material markets, to commodity markets, and to the food markets. And I can only really motivate you. Please do capacity building. We provide it with our institutions for the exporters, because linking the biggest consumer market, Germany, 18 million people, over 18 million people, with the neighborhood regions, there is so much business opportunity that is still not developed. It offers a lot of chances, and I'm very optimistic that after the COVID, and still we can see that, growing numbers in export statistics will keep on going. So
thank you very much, Andre. Thank you very much. I have a look at the time, so we really have to move on a little bit. But now I would turn to Laila Mamamodova. Hello again. We already introduced you. And
hello again. I'm Leila Mammadova.
My question to you, Leila, is you present the Azerbaijan Agrarian Credit and Development Agency. How does your agency support your farmers or food product manufacturers in order to overcome the barriers mentioned by your co-speakers? And please, again, we still want to allow some questions, 5 minutes.
Hello again, and thank you for your question. It's my great pleasure to meet you all. And first, I would like to express my gratitude to the German Azerbaijan Chamber of Commerce for organizing this online forum and the opportunity to represent our ministry and sector. Also, I would like to express my gratitude to previous sectors for the valuable insights they shared with us. So, as the Deputy Chairperson of Agro Credit and Development Agency, I am going to talk mainly about the opportunities and challenging cooperation in the field of agriculture and the government support to agriculture. And to answer to your question, how can we eliminate challenge barriers and how we can expect cooperation and export. So here you see export map of actually the export map where we mainly export our agriculture products. Looking at the agriculture trade between Azerbaijan and Germany, the figures are unfortunately a bit low. Germany is one of the top 10 export destinations, but it is almost for just one product, hazelnut. So we were willing to facilitate trade between our countries and hoping to build even stronger relations in near future. And in the field of agriculture, Azerbaijan and Germany have cooperated mainly in knowledge transfer and development projects, import and export of agri-food products, and import of agriculture machinery and animal breed from Germany. However, looking back, it seems important only the machinery and animal breed is not that effective for maximizing cooperation and the result, the benefit. It is essential to transfer knowledge and know-how along with the technologies. Instead of just importing the cutting-edge technologies from Germany, we would be more interested in a long-term partnership with a holistic approach, which includes technical assistance, streamlining export procedures to Germany, assisting in complying with European standards in terms of getting certifications such as HACCP and GAP and so on. As for the challenge in exporting to Germany, I would like to highlight the two main challenges, certification and logistics. Complying with the European standards is one of the main hurdles for exporting to Europe. And this is one of the main reasons why, unfortunately, still we cannot increase amount of exported possible products to European countries. Today, for us, traditional market, it is Russian, mainly Russia, and other CIS countries. Also, we are now working on expanding our trade operations in Middle East countries. We would be interested in projects for eliminating this barrier. We would also be interested in learning the German practice in this regard. Our expectation is not just purchasing, or we really want and interested in long-term cooperation, but for this we need also technical assistance. And Azerbaijan is also one of the leading countries for its support mechanisms to agriculture. Our government applies various support mechanisms along the agricultural value chain, starting from the production resources to the consumers. And therefore, every year we can increase production and export of agricultural products. Ministry offers various financial tools like subsidies, tax exemptions, agro-insurance, lump sum payments, soft loans, and other instruments to stimulate farmers and agri-entrepreneurs. The agricultural sector is exempt from all kinds of tax allocations. Government subsidizes 60% cost of breeding animals and 40% of agricultural machinery, complemented with interest-free lending for the period of 5 years. And the government also subsidizes the production of range of agricultural products. Seed subsidies, planting subsidies, and product subsidies are allocated to farmers. Besides, refunds for export of agricultural products are also envisioned. The government have newly adopted legislation for agricultural insurance, which will further stimulate investment in agriculture. On the other hand, I would like to mention that Azerbaijan has a very favorable overall business climate. Our government has taken a number of measures to improve the business and investment climate. Azerbaijan is making progress year by year in the international reports. You can see in the latest doing business report by World Bank, Azerbaijan has the overall ranking of 34th among 190 countries. It is one of the top 10 countries for starting a business. It has ranked first for getting credits and 28th for enforcing contracts. That is the information and which I would like, I can for now share about the current situation in our sector. And as an agri-credit and development agency, we are mainly responsible for 3 main instruments which stimulate our agricultural products producers. It is first subsidies, second credits, and the third one, it is international cooperation and implementation of project with international donors. Currently, we are working with different international donors such as World Bank, IFC. We are implementing joint agricultural projects with local and international institutions in priority areas of agriculture. The agency is implemented, for example, for now, for now, we are now working with IFC, and the name of the project is Azerbaijan Investment Climate and Agribusiness Competitiveness. The aim of the project is to improve access to quality seeds, strengthening linkage along agribusiness value chains. Efforts are underway to search for eliminate existing barriers to increase export potential. We have similar projects with other international donors, and also we are cooperating with trade representatives and embassies of different countries to Azerbaijan.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Leila. Very good overview. And it's really these ratings is astonishing. First in crediting, that is access to credit. This is really very well, very well.
And just for thank you a lot. Just for information of participants, if they have any interest in cooperation with local institutes, companies, or government institutions, I'm always happy to assist them. They can contact with our team or directly with the ministry. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leila. Yes, indeed impressing. I see some questions by, I have a look at Tobias. What about our time schedule? What
Actually, I've already texted to one of participants of the event. The question was about mainly Karabakh, the liberated area, about our future plans.
Yes, thank you very much. We saw that. But
I would say, yeah, we can give another 10 minutes. I would say that would be fair.
Okay.
We started 15 minutes later.
Yeah, then the first question is to Nino. Why only fewer farmers out of 4,500 members export to EU? What are the main obstacles? Nino, would you like to answer?
I'm sorry, I'm losing the voice. Internet is bad. Can you repeat the question?
In the Q&A.
Yeah.
Why only few of farmers out of 4,500 members export to EU? What are the main obstacles? Custom procedures, finding buyers. What are the main obstacles?
Yeah, the main obstacle is the capacity, the quality, and the quantity of production. Because after the collapse of Soviet Union, unfortunately, lands have been fragmented, and 47% of Georgian population become peasant not because they wanted, but because they had no other choice. So unfortunately, the average size of the land is 0.6 hectare. And to compete with these bigger countries, for example, like Chile or Turkey or different exporters of agricultural commodities, you cannot compete because we don't have the scale of economy. The quality doesn't remain the same, and the production cycle doesn't remain the same. Unfortunately, up to now, the country doesn't have like a logistic facility so they can keep the agricultural commodities. What's happening is that once farmers are harvesting, they are selling it right away because we don't have like cold storage for frozen vegetables. So country produces self-sufficient products for 3-4 months, and once it ends, then we are import dependent. So I think that's a biggest challenge, the fragmented land. Access to international technology remains the biggest challenge as well, in education, because 20 years agricultural has been stagnated in Georgia, and only now it step by step is developing. Access to financial capital is another issue, and the language barriers also remains the challenge, because the average farmer's age is 65 and up. And now we are motivating young generation to be involved in the agricultural sector. And unfortunate reality is, as I mentioned in my speech, is a dependency on the Russian market, because everyone speaks Russian. It's much more easier for them to export. But we do remember what happened during the Russian embargo with the wine. So farmers almost suffered, and none of the agricultural entrepreneurs were having the normal time, so they were just suffering really. That's an issue, and I think we have to work a lot, because country has a unique opportunity to have such a great DCFTA agreement and access to European market, but we also have niche in order to produce the bio products, which is the most demanded right now, and generates higher income rather the the normal agricultural products. So this is the obstacles what we are facing right now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Nino. Actually, this is not fair, but I have to admit that I like the Russian embargo for your wine very much, because of
the quality, right? Then we changed the quality.
The quality increased, and the offer of Georgian wine in Kiev went up like that. It was unbelievable. Before the embargo, we only had very cheap sorts of wine, Georgian wine, and I really didn't like it. But during the embargo, the quality went up, and the offer, the range of assortment also. So this was a very interesting impact. But
yeah, like a challenge gives the opportunity, right? So that was the case. Yeah, absolutely.
There is another question concerning tourism and trade after the pandemic. but I'm not sure who wants to answer to this one. Is there anyone who can say
I would
something?
like to add something about tourism.
Yes, please.
Excuse me, Mark. Yeah, since 2019, we started a project with tourism agency for the development of agritourism in Azerbaijan, because we have potential, we have very rich nature, and as you may know, nearly 40% of population are involved in this sector, agriculture sector. We also have the second important target for our government. It is development of tourism sector. For sure, our colleagues from tourism agency, Florian, they will present information, but currently development of agritourism is one of priorities for the Ministry of Agriculture and tourism agency. But what we do for this, we are supporting by providing different financial tools of our potential beneficiaries who are interested, and we see every year increasing number of people who are involved in agritourism. Also, I can say it as in many countries, in Azerbaijan as well, we see that because of coronavirus pandemic, people, they are now more focused on agritourism, and it is another wave of reason why now people who has potential in maintaining business in agritourism started to use this opportunity to get income and diversify their business.
Yes, thank you
By
very
the
much.
way, in near future, I will invite you for Azerbaijan to taste Azerbaijani wines. And I think you will like Azerbaijan wines, especially now last decade, our wine producers, they started to expand their business and increase quality of Azerbaijani wines. We have especially today wines with international organic certificates who export not only to Russia and other CIS countries, as well as to China and some European countries. Thank you.
You know, Laila, I have a very good friend. He was the director of the HIT in Kiev, and he is from Azerbaijan, and he is always providing me a very, very good wine from Azerbaijan. It is always his presence. He always brings a box, and this is really, yeah, absolutely. But you have to do more about the marketing, because it's not so well known as Georgian wine.
Yeah, but actually in our region, for sure, many European countries and other neighbor countries, they are know and heard about Georgian wine, because yes, Azerbaijan is a secular country, but majority of population is Muslims. And when we are saying that, you know, actually we are also wine producers, and we see increase in trade, positive trend in this subsector, some people are surprised. And however, again, as the Minister of Agriculture, as the Minister of Economy, especially as Proma, we are working with our trade representatives on promoting Azerbaijani winemakers, because they, especially last decade, they have really excellent results, and many of them could get international certificates which prove that their products is organic, and they started to export to some European countries as well. And we will continue to support this subsector, because it's one of the important subsectors for Azerbaijan.
Great, great, great. I saw Pierre, you raise your hand. Yes, please.
Yes, since we talked about diversification of export destinations due to certain trade limitations, also a shop of Georgian wines opened right between my office and my home place, so that's really convenient for me. And I hope there will be a shop for Azerbaijani Azeri wine specialties soon, Leila. So I hope you will be in charge for that. We have been talking a lot about certificates and so on, and with regard to this topic of export diversification, please take these certification processes, the paperwork and so on. It means raising the quality of your products, and of course it is a substantial investment from your side, which comes with a certain risk, but it is an investment in the future. For that reason, everybody else around can see to which high quality standards you do adhere, and it makes you and your products attractive for further business abroad. So take this as an investment in the future and for further business contacts, and not just as a burden that you need to fulfill for the sake of bureaucracy. That would be yeah, my how can I say, my concern for the participants today.
Yeah, it's actually very true, Per, because that is also a topic here in Ukraine, that some people are only looking to formally comply with these certification needs. But this is actually, if you only try to do it formally on the paper, it's not what it's about. So okay, you can get the certificate and you can import, but then maybe afterwards, when the products are checked, it comes out that it was only with the first portion, and the second and the third also are not compliant. But unfortunately, I see that our yeah, Andre, I saw you raised your hand. Please also have a look once again to the Q&A, and maybe someone of you can answer some of the Q&A directly. There is a Q&A, there's a question from farmers on the programs of developing of FAMRF. I don't know whether you, Laila, could take that over and answer this. And there is another question for small and medium business cooperation in Azerbaijan and Germany. And there's a question on SME development in Azerbaijan and instruments of support. So most of the questions are directed to Azerbaijan structures. And then finally, I would like to give the word again to Andre, but very, very short, because we are already 10 minutes over the time, and Tobias asked for not more than 10 minutes.
Very, very short. Thank you, Alexander. For all those who are interested in the real demand and competitiveness of products, our project has provided such an analysis on the agritrade-ukraine.com. There you can find for all commodities, products, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and so on, a list who are the main importers and what are the import for the future. And secondly, in addition to what Per just said, certificate standards, this is really needed, but also be proactive and try to campaign your national products and specialties, because still the image of some of the countries being here today is not very high developed in the German market. If we go to the retailers and ask them, do you know something about Georgia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, or Ukraine? Due to the lack of high level established contacts between buyers and exporters, that is sometimes not the case. So marketing and campaigning is essential, and you find support with the business institutions, with our chambers, and last but not least, Import Promotion Desk. Pierre, thanks for sharing the link, is also a valuable address for further support. Thanks a lot.
Yes, then I would like to terminate this panel. Thank you very much again to all the panelists. It was really great to have this with you today. And we are handing over to either the main moderator or the next panel directly, which is about tourism. Tobias.
Yes, thank you very much, Alexander. I understood that Ms. Leila Mamadova is answering the questions online, right? Is that possible? The questions remaining?
Well, if do you mean the question about small and medium-sized enterprises, right?
Yes, Tatiana's and Emil's and Taras.
Yeah. Regarding this question, I can say that currently our colleagues from the small and medium-sized Entrepreneurs Agency and from Asproma, they are working on establishing contacts between not only Germany, but representatives of this field of many other countries. As the Ministry of Agriculture today, we are responsible for supporting and promotion of agricultural products of our producers, providing them with different financial instruments, also according to their needs, creating cooperation projects with international partners and bringing know-how to Azerbaijan. But creating trade cooperation and promotion of our local entrepreneurs, especially small and medium-sized entrepreneurs, belongs to other organizations, sub-organizations of Ministry of Economy. We worked with them, and we know that currently they are continuing their operation for creating new platforms where our and foreign trade representatives can negotiate and look for opportunity of cooperation. But unfortunately, as in many countries during coronavirus, especially last year, we had to continue this kind of trade missions online, which was less effective. However, we hope that soon after vaccinations, we will be able to return to normal and increase effectiveness of this kind of cooperation. Also, I would like to note that we have 4 trade representatives in different regions in Asia, Europe, Middle East, and Russia. Also, we have a lot of trade houses in different countries where our small and medium-sized entrepreneurs they are provided with opportunity to use with services of those trade houses representatives and promote their products and look for potential buyers of their products. But again, today, one of our problems is the certifications and logistics, because countries such as Turkey, for example, are one of the main competitors of Azerbaijani products in Europe, and they started to compete for and increase their competitive advantage in Europe and in some other countries earlier than Azerbaijan or other former Soviet Union countries such as today Russia, Ukraine, and Georgia. But despite all this kind of challenge, still we are working and we see development, and we do hope that in the near future we will have chance to increase our competitive advantage and increase our shares in foreign European and American markets as well. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And there was a request still to begin to provide the link to your slides. I understood that you give access to your slideshow, which you had for your presentation, and maybe you could put the link in the chat line or in the F&A line Q&A.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. And then I switch over to Thomas Kimmeswenger and the tourism panel. Is Thomas here?
Hello, everybody again.
Yes. So the floor is yours, and welcome to the participants and speakers.
Welcome, everybody again. Welcome to the panel Trends and Best Practice of Eco and Agro-Tourism in Germany and the Eastern Partnership countries. Let me run this panel a bit different. I would first like to introduce all the panelists. And I've just heard that 2 panelists have a quick presentation they will do. So let me first introduce them all, and then we move country by country. Whom do we have with us today? Let me start with Azerbaijan. We have Mr. Florian Sengstschmidt. Florian Sengstschmidt has more than 25 years of experience in the tourism industry. He worked for the Austrian National Tourism Board as their regional director for Russia and the CIS countries, and whilst in Moscow also worked as a commercial attaché at the Austrian embassy. As an independent tourism consultant, Florian supported a wide range of countries in tourism development, including Estonia, Greece, Vietnam, Bhutan, Hungary, Lithuania, and he also was in Georgia. The last 8 years of his professional life, Florian has dedicated to the development of tourism industry in Azerbaijan, where since 2018 he was appointed as CEO of Azerbaijan Tourism Association. Welcome, Florian Sengstschmidt.
Welcome. Good afternoon from Baku.
The next would be Belarus, Mrs. Valeria Klitsунova. Mrs. Dr. Valeria Klitsунova is chair of the board of the Association of Agro and Euro Ecotourism, Country Escape. This is a non-profit, non-governmental organization created in November 2002. Its members comprise more than 600 people who provide tourism services on rural areas. Valeria is also an associate professor at Belarusian State University and author of many articles and 4 books on rural tourism, experience economy, and creative tourism products. Welcome, Mrs. Klitsунova.
Nice to see everybody.
We move on to Georgia. Georgia, we have 2 people, Mrs. Daria Kolotsilina, I hope I spell it correctly, and Mr. Sviat Kelencharidze. Daria used to work in the National Tourism Administration of Georgia in the marketing field, and since 2018 she is working in a more practical field of tourism, being a service provider. Her strength is wine knowledge. She is the co-author of Vinolog Guide to the Georgian Wine Regions and possesses WESET2 certification. In the company, she is the wine tours curator. During the pandemic, she started the wine subscription and online tastings. She is the co-founder of Wine and Trails, and the second, her partner, is Mr. Sviat Kelencharidze. Sviat also used to work for GNTA in the product development sphere. His strengths are hiking route planning, and he is responsible for the organization of natural-based tourism activities provided by Trails and Wines. During the pandemic, he got involved in the most ambitious infrastructural project in the Georgian hiking trails building history, Yuta Roshka Omalo. We hope that in the future our guests will hit those trails and enjoy amazing wines afterwards. Both of them, Sviat and Daria, collaborated as mentors with CEN and LAG development programs, as well as Tbilisi Startup Bureau, Entrepreneur Magazine, Jan Tonis University in Estonia, and the Estonian MFA. Welcome to the both of you. In the Ukraine, we have Ms. Victoria Permyakova. Ms. Permyakova holds a PhD in history, is the CEO owner of LCC Tour Ukraine, incoming and domestic tourism expert. Welcome to the Ukraine as well. Last but not least, we have a well-known German expert with us, Mr. Professor Dr. Hartmut Rein. Professor Dr. Hartmut Rein has more than 30 years of experience in tourism and regional development. As CEO of BTE Tourism and Regional Consulting since 1995, he has carried out a multitude of projects in the fields of tourism and regional development in Germany and Eastern European countries like Kaliningrad region of Russia, Lithuania, Poland, Romania, and North Macedonia, and also he was in Kyrgyzstan. Since 2017, he is a professor at Eberswald University for Sustainable Development in the field of Sustainable Destination Management at the Master's Program Sustainable Tourism Management. He is the editor of textbooks on nature tourism, rural tourism, and sustainable tourism. Mr. Dr. Hartmut Rein, you have a short presentation with you as well. May I please ask you to start with your presentation now?
Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to share some ideas and information about agro and ecotourism in Germany. I will see how I can share. Okay. I will present some information about practices of eco and agro-tourism in Germany. At first, the background for all these developments or the opportunities in agro and ecotourism are megatrends in our society. We have a megatrend in urbanization. More and more people live in urban environments. We have a trend to more health. You see the corona crisis now. And we have this trend of neo-ecology. So more people want to have organic food and want to stay close to nature and get nature experience. And oh, sorry, no, it's so these mega trends about globalization and placelessness, every trend has an opposite trend. Like globalization has an opposite trend in a search for regionality, security, more location, or acceleration has an opposite trend in more longing for deceleration, slowness. You have heard about slow tourism. We all have a longing for more substance, more authentic, more uniqueness. And all this brings a trend to more sustainability as a long-term perspective. And both is important for eco and agrotourism because both serve these trends. And when you see the whole picture, you see that nature and agrotourism is overlapping. It's not the same, but it's overlapping with sustainable tourism. It's overlapping, especially in protected areas where the protection of the nature is the first aim. But both sides, nature tourism has a lot of prerequisites which are important for sustainable tourism too. So we need for a good offer in agro and ecotourism, a typical natural or rural landscape. We need unspoiled nature in nature parks, national parks, biosphere reserves. We need, especially in concern of authentic offers, traditional farming, traditional farm accommodations, typical rural accommodations, not this industry type, like farmers' houses, forest houses. We want, or people going for agro or ecotourism trip, they want to have typical rural products and souvenirs. They want, or there's needed touristic access to exciting attractions. So you need signage, information, and so on. You need access to less attractive sites, which are important, especially in this field, like small churches, manor houses, nature monuments. But every time you need transportation offers, especially to these places, because mostly they are not very central, they're more remote, and very often you have a connection problem. You need package tours, and more in the last years, you need the combination between health and wellness opportunities. And the target groups, especially in Germany, for this kind of tourism are nature-oriented active tourists, outing people like hikers, bikers, horse riding, horse trekking people, canoeing people. Families is very, very important, especially for agrotourism, because they need security for the children. They want to have that children have contact to nature, to animals. They like vacation on farms. You have the children in Germany for holiday camps. You have all the nature-loving people. You have hobby nature scientists who want to be outside, especially for ecotourism offers. And you have less demanding wellness tourists where you can serve with your offers in a rural setting. And especially close to urban areas, you have a lot of day trippers who are visiting villages, celebrations, events in the rural countryside. And in Germany, we have a lot of organizations who care about countryside vacation. We have the biggest organization, which is Landsichten, or the platform, which is called Landsichten. And here you see typical accommodations for countryside offers or agrotourism offers. You see activities like bicycling, you have the culinary offers, and you have festivals and festivities in the countryside, which are important for sharing. For all this kind of offers, you need some labeling, especially for regional products you offer in this context. We have different initiatives in different regions. It's for regional labeling, branding of products from the regional countryside. They are combined with indicators, which product is regional, which is not. So you have to fulfill some of the indicators or indicators. But in the last time, we have also to the trend to combine it with more climate-friendly offers. Here you have some funny example from a region in north of Berlin where I'm living. They came up with a 0 kilometer burger. It's a burger only from products close to the site they are offered. So they get the pork from a farm close to the restaurant. They get the bread, the rolls from a bakery close to the restaurant. They get the cheese from a cheese factory close to the restaurant. And every part of this burger is very, very close, has very short ways. And they said, oh, this is the most climate-friendly burger you can ever have. And they sell it as a 0 kilometer burger. And it's a great success in this region. So this is a very trendy example. You find a lot of this information. I only gave a short insight in a book I have written, which was translated in Russian. So maybe I can offer it to you, and you can read all this information in Russian. And yeah, I represent a company which is working in all fields of tourism. We have a lot of team, and if I have some minutes, no, I can skip it. Okay, thank you. This is my short introduction in the topic.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dr. Rhein. Very useful insights. As we know that in Germany, the tourism part is very much matured, I will always refer back to you for the next couple of minutes as the best practice and expert in these fields. You just mentioned in your speech that national parks and nature parks are very much important. Now, out of the countries that we are representing here, I know that most of the countries, they have these kind of parks. As you said that we have a shift in moods of people, a gender shift. We have the climate change, and we have people who are very much concerned about it. How do you see in developing countries in the tourism sector, like the ones we are representing here, that national parks and nature parks are still that much welcomed as they were in the 80s and 90s in Europe?
You mean welcome by
I don't know. I mean, I was in one nature park when I was 15.
Yeah.
I'm not 15 anymore, but it's not really on the top of my list to go to a nature park. So if the countries here do all this, do you think it's a good business idea?
It's a label. It's a very important label. It's a label for quality. If you have a nature park or a national park or a biosphere reserve, it stands for a label. So you know this is a place with a unique nature, outstanding nature. It's important for ecotourism. It's not so important for agrotourism. Agrotourism, you need a rural setting, you need a rural landscape, a cultural, more cultural landscape. This is a difference. But we have in Germany a lot of agrotourism offers in nature parks and biosphere reserves, not so much in national parks because there is the protection of nature on the first hand, but in nature parks and biosphere reserve, we have the topic of sustainable development, which means you have both. You have nature conservation, but as the Man and Biosphere program says, man and biosphere, both have to be developed in a sustainable way. That's a perfect place for sustainable tourism development.
Perfect, thank you. So I see a lot of bright future for the countries that we are having here as our guests.
Also, there is a difference between agrotourism and ecotourism. People would travel far away for ecotourism, but they are not used to travel far away for agrotourism. Agrotourism is a more inbound activity. And it is very, during this Corona crisis, you see that people left or enjoy being on the countryside. It's more secure, but they don't travel far away for agro-tourism, but they travel far away for ecotourism. So this is, it depends on what kind of tourism are you looking for. Is it more the inbound tourism or is it more the outbound tourism?
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Sengschmidt. Azerbaijan was also heavily hit with the COVID crisis. How do you see Azerbaijan developing in the eco and agro-tourism now that the whole situation is getting a bit better? Do you see big impacts of the COVID crisis, or did it only slow down a bit the movement of eco and agro-tourism?
Good afternoon to all of you. Thanks to HK. Thank you, Thomas, for the introduction. And thanks to Professor Rhein for the overview of trends and global situation. I think me and my fellow colleagues can focus on best practices rather than on the trends, what you already covered. Generally agree with you. Agro-tourism is something what is really relevant for mainly for domestic tourism, and as Ms. Leila mentioned already, it's a very important part for development of the tourism sector in Azerbaijan. And I think I would not distinguish here domestic or international tourism. It is important in all spheres and subsectors. We've developed 2 years ago the first kind of sub field which is related to wine, AzerbaijanWine.com. I invite all of you to have a look online. Lots of good experiences, lot of good already ideas what to experience in the field of wine. And there is other projects which I would rather like to introduce today to have a broader discussion. And maybe one of the other projects is of interest for fellow colleagues where to interconnect and find some common projects out of that. The first one, I was asked not to use slide. So I think all what we discuss here, agro, eco, sustainable tourism, for us is important to look at how can we reinforce what exists in each of our countries and each of our regions. So what is the unique assets we have in terms of nature, culture, produce, even crops or grapes or whatever it is. So basically use what is existing and build on that. Do not basically artificially invent new experiences or products, but really see what is locally available. Most of the time it's the things what locals do not value. So when you see that locals do not value, you know there is a high potential also for tourism experiences in that. And in that context, basically, we are rolling out several projects. One of the important ones for this year is Slow Food Travel Project. We have partnered together with the Slow Food, Italian-based NGO, NPO, and developing the northwestern part of Azerbaijan in the northwestern region bordering to Georgia into a slow food travel destination. That's a project supported by the European Union. And we try to roll and spill over, basically create a spillover after that also to other regions in Azerbaijan. Another project is to supporting basically our micro and small guest houses in the country. So basically, we know, or we don't know actually, to be honest, that we have around 500 local guest houses spread all over the country, especially during the pandemic. There were a high demand on these local experiences. So currently, our tourism volunteers, 150 people, a team is out there on the countryside, sitting with the owners, discussing on a very long, basically survey. It's about 30 pages. So it takes a lot of patience also for the owners of these guest houses to go through us with all their needs assessment. We do basically also a very in-detail research on what is the infrastructural issues, bathrooms, sanitary, so all what is around, and to understand what is really, how can we support them with a further upgrade. maybe to create a lighthouse project in infrastructural upgrade for these micro, small entrepreneurs, and also to form them into a network here, which currently does not exist. Another project is obviously then not only to create a network, but we are currently on a tender for a domestic booking platform. This domestic booking platform will be only in the first step available for Azerbaijani nationals and residents in Azerbaijan. So we do not want to create a competition with international OTAs in this context, but want to create our own basically profound product and communication, both B2B and B2C, for locals to book local holidays, which I hope is starting to roll out towards the end of the year. And another point, for this year, 20 new hiking routes are added. We are partnering with local teams, with local hiking teams from the regions. Basically, we have commissioned them with an international standard to mark the wayfinding, to create basic infrastructure. So for this year, by summer, we will have 20 new hiking routes. And to my Georgian colleagues and friends, we are also looking into the possibility of a Trans-Caucasian, adding to the Trans-Caucasus Trail, also Azerbaijan. So assessing how we can create also a transnational project in the context of hiking. So far, so good. A few good practices or a few projects we're implementing, and I hope will inspire some questions or a discussion. Thank you for inviting again, and sunny afternoon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sengschmidt. Very interesting to hear what you say about locals. If the locals don't like it, it might be a hit. I still can remember this in my home country. It was always like this. Nobody assumed that local stuff can be worth something for the others, but that was exactly what the people were coming for. Thanks a lot for this. Mrs. Valeria Klitsonova, as far as I know, you have some slides for us as well.
Yeah, I'd like to show you something.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Just a second, we rearrange our screen a little bit different. I represent a Belarusian association country, Escape, its national organization, and I'm pleased that many trends or projects or formulation which were mentioned previous speakers, we do the same. A few words about the process of rural tourism. This is some of our members. We have more than 500. We have been running 40 international projects, many seminars. We develop or start 10 tourism clusters, international conference, and greenways. It's also include hiking routes, but greenways, it's a little bit more. And a lot of promotional materials. This is very quickly about main stages in the process of rural tourism development. We started in 2002, and we understood that there is no infrastructure in rural areas. There is no any farmsteads. And that's why we thought that it's important to, just a second. This is important to start with creation farmsteads, and now we have around 3,000. Then we understood that in Belarusian village with a very unpredictable climate, not too much to do because of war and communism. Lots of things has been destroyed, and we started to think about tourism product. And this we came to the idea of cluster and cooperation. Somebody made eco-museum, somebody provide folklore, someone what to do with honey or bees, and it was an amalgam of different interesting component. And now we made an accent on creativity, experience, and innovation. This is what we think this is like added value for our product, because we live in a period of experience economy. Now, a little bit about trends. I have formulated them slightly different, but we have a lot of in common with previous speakers. This is creativity and innovation. Our actually people in Belarus quite developed. They're very creative, educational, and when they add something to their product, some emotion, some activity, it looks different and it attracts people. Then sustainability, we also think about environment, and actually we are not too many countries already from Eastern Europe developed strategy or concept of sustainable development, and we did. Youth participation. I'm also an associate professor from the university, and we try to involve our students in all of this process, in seminars, in product formulation or testing. And we have even branch on our faculty, on our organization. And we have bright people. And I think it's very important because new generation is completely different. And if we want to be on the market, and if we want our product, what not only for retired people or silver age, we should work with young. And then we create very demanded product. Accessibility. For our country, it is important, as for many Eastern European countries, because people with disability have right to participate and participate in all tourism products. We have a special product, and we have one region which has been adopted for people with disability, and 5 or 6 farm states made a special program for them, and we developed in national park a special trail for people with different kind of disability. And for us, it's very important inclusion, because we shouldn't do something specially for disabled people and keep them apart. We should do everything together, started with festival, tourism, holiday, etc. And this is what we do. Gastronomy, food. Gastronomy is very important component of tourism product. It involves many feelings, actually all senses, and it could attract a lot of new segments to our country. Thematic festivals, this is also what is we try to develop, and especially in the regional festival. We have a couple of official festivals, but it's another story. We think that the trend of neo-localism is very important, and these small local festivals are good. And cooperation with tour operator. I calculated that maybe it's 4 or 5% of all tourists who comes to rural area, but it's really important for promotion our country all over the globe, and for big groups. We have been working with many tour operator from our country, but some a really global big one came, and they think that the program which our people in a village or in rural area provide, it was really great. And this is some photos just to show how it looks like. For example, this is very famous musician and artist. He makes traditional instrument himself, and his lecture is just brilliant. This is a beekeeper with interesting programs. This is a trail in our national park. I described a little bit, and this is our food and traditional Russian oven. This is pancake, and this is like midsummer or mid-June day when people are jumping around fire. And as soon as the topic COVID was mentioned, I want to share a little bit of our experience. First of all, it didn't change and so dramatically as all tourism, especially if it's connected with crossing the border. For some farmstead, it was very good opportunity. Some of them close their business. It depends on people. But it was really one of the very few opportunity for a holiday in our country, because nobody want to go to big sanatorium, nobody could go abroad, and people went to farmstead for self-isolation or to celebrate some events. This is what the place where had possibility to live full life during COVID. For example, the wedding, it was not 100 people, but 25, 20 it was. And they have a social distance. They try to be outside when it's fresh air and not so dangerous. And this new format of interaction about distance, about, I don't know, different kind of kayaking, hiking. And we came to new segments of people, because many people never ever had this idea to spend time in the Russian village, but they've seen that we created interesting, attractive product. Children, we started to organize summer camp for them, working with elderly people. It's only few first steps. Artists, they can to like plein air, to I don't know, sculpture or painting together, and people who are concentrated on wealthy, healthy lifestyle. It could be yoga retreat, it could be diet, different kind. Actually, this is what I wanted to tell you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Very interesting to see what happened on the farms. If you use them as a hideaway for the COVID, that's a very good idea, I think. Let's now move over to Georgia. Welcome again to Daria and Sviat.
Marjoba, hi.
Let me start with the lady first. When I read about you, I was very much impressed when I read that during the pandemic, you started wine subscription and online tasting.
Yeah, that was when last year my last trip abroad was to Berlin, to ITB. So when I landed in Berlin, apparently it was cancelled, so the biggest tourism fair. So when I came back home, I already had in my mind that we have to do something different, because it seems like if ITB is cancelled, then what will happen next? It seemed like the apocalyptic event. So basically almost the next day after my arrival, I just decided to do the Instagram live and talk about Georgian wine. And then more and more people were listening from all around the country. No, not only the country, but like many people from abroad. And then I decided to do something maybe for locals and local expats, because there were still a lot of international people in Georgia. And I made several tastings where people could buy wine online, and then we would meet together and discover the new regions, or the new or the old traditions of Georgian winemaking. So I was trying to kind of keep on going, keep kind of supporting the winemakers. Of course, I couldn't sell like millions of bottles, but at least a bit, because during our activity as tour operator, we established very close relationships with the small wineries, with the people in the regions, and I just wanted to do something for them also during these difficult times. So that was the format that was possible.
Very good, very good. Unfortunately, I had no chance to be there, but I'm pretty sure we can do this.
Sure, of course.
Sviat, you are one of those guys who help people find the right way.
Yeah, I can say so, yes.
As I know that in Germany, the trails are very much established already. Can you tell me, is there already a cooperation between Germany and Georgia or other countries, so that you don't have to invent the wheel, but just sort of take over experience from Germany?
Yes, in our case, we mostly, when I say I used to work in the tourism administration, and now I'm an independent expert of the hiking trails, not also including waymarking and also the building of the trails, which is important because previously we were just waymarking them. We were using just simple waymarks. But now then we started to develop a standard of waymarking of the trails, and in that case we were cooperating with Switzerland, with the Swiss Rando, one of the organizations, the main organization of Switzerland. And as far as I know, it's quite similar to German standard as well. But while we are working on the Georgian standard, we also checked the standards of different countries, including Germany, Austria, France, Poland, and Switzerland, of course. So we did not just copy paste it because we needed to, so those countries, including Germany, is in a higher, so to say, the bench of the development of the trail. So we needed to adopt it to the Georgian reality. So it's like bilingual, at least a bilingual, to make bilingual signboards. And nowadays I'm working with a very big project we are very proud of. It will be the biggest hiking network and the trail itself from Juta to Omalo that will connect 3 regions of the country and in 3 national parks, basically. So you may know that Georgia has one of the biggest national parks in Europe, and that trail will be like a bit more than 200 kilometers in the first stage, but we are looking forward to create a network in that particular, in 3 regions, which will be exceeding 500 kilometers at the end of it.
That will create also access to the local communities. And
So
and
to connect it with ecotourism in this way, because the majority of travelers are coming here to visit the mountain areas of the country, and Georgia has the highest mountains in Europe. So majority of the national parks are created, of course, in the northern part of Georgia, and those parts are not settled widely. So it's an amazing opportunity for the locals also to participate in tourism, and the majority of them are taking benefits from the travelers which are visiting those areas. And also one of the, so to say, one of the reasons why people are going there, because those places, because there are not that big settlements, are still intact. So it's a good combination of traveling and visiting a really wild nature, and plus to connect with the locals, which has their unique traditions, which are different. So by having these 2 all together, and we are looking forward to have a sustainable development of it. It's very important to have it sustainable way to keep more people coming here, and also to have a benefit from both sides.
Thank you very much, Ziad. Professor Rein, if I may ask you, as Germany is definitely more developed in this area than the countries that we are visiting here, are there any pitfalls you could think about that we definitely fell into that should definitely be avoided by our guests here?
I think one of main pitfall could be if you are not authentic. It was mentioned several times that it's very important that you don't try to become a kind of Disneyland, playing rural life. It must be authentic. This is the main pitfall, I would say, when people try to. I know only one example where a tradition was artificially introduced. Maybe you know it's in Austria. It's a region they grow. I lost the English word. Birnen.
Peaches.
Peaches. No, not peaches. Peaches are Birnen.
Yeah, pears.
Yeah, pears. And they have they made a whole life around the pears. There are pear. They wear new designed clothes for people who are producing pears, special pears, not traditional, not normal eating pears. It's pears for wine. It's pears for alcohol. For they also make soap and other products out of it, and you must have a certain amount of trees before you could become one of these members of this association of peer growers. And it's artificial, but it's made very, very, very good, and you never would say that it's not authentic. But this is the only case I know. The others are always too artificial. Everybody realizes that it's not true.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
And the rest is quality. I mean, the quality in accommodation, the quality in food, and what is most important is friendliness. You have to be very friendly, because people, what they take back is what they experienced when they stayed in a homestead and they had contact to the family and the people living there. This is what they bring back when they go home.
Okay, good, thank you. Mrs. Permiakova, how is the situation in the Ukraine?
Hello to everybody. I think that Ukrainian government knew something about this COVID crisis in the past because we started to prepare for it. It's a joke, but what I mean. In the end of 2019, it was founded the State Agency of Tourism Development. And one of the idea of this department is develop regions. And of course, it's green tourism and country tourism, agri-tourism. It was a priority. Which advantages we have in Ukraine? First of all, we are close to European body. And Europeans, for example, can travel not only by plane, but also by car. It could be individual tourism. And after this COVID period, the proposition of tour operators become more personal. And it's not only work of tour operator, it's mostly give advices for tourists how they can spend their time here in Ukraine. And mostly it's about not about of the city, it's mostly about green tourism. And the best place in Ukraine is Transcarpathia region. Very lowest price compared with European market. Very good conditions and service, because lots of, for example, Hungarians invest money to the develop of green tourism in Transcarpathia. And we have a big period when we try to work with Hungarian tourists and with European tourists. So we can do a good service provide, and we have lots of proposition for this individual European tourists. And when we compare for example, national parks, we have in Ukraine 53 national parks, and we also have mountains and also have the sea. And one of the trends of this year, Ukrainian government invest lots of money to build, for example, glamping, which is very popular, I know, in Europe and in the USA. If you know what is glamping, it's glamour camping. So people like to stay and near the nature and spend time there also with good service. And also what is about agricultural tourism, we have lots of farms close to Lviv region. For example, people come to Lviv, spend some time in the city, and then go to some farms, for example, to strawberries or blackberries. They can try to make some products by themselves and take it with themselves to home, like souvenirs, for example. So we develop also in this field. I think that we can really have lots of advantages in this sector, like ecotourism. Also, we keep our traditions, and national cuisine are also our adventures, I think. So welcome, Ukraine. We are ready.
Thank you very much for this. Unfortunately, it's too long ago that I have been to Kiev and the Ukraine, but I think it's still a very beautiful and nice country. Let me ask you, when we talk about agrotourism, do you see any trend in the country that people from Kiev leave the city to enjoy agrotourism, or is it very much for foreign tourists only for the time being?
I think that this summer it will be one of the trends to visit agro-tourism places because previous summer we also had such kind of tours. Mostly it was individual, but for children, parents choose such kind of excursion, for example, to some farms, especially to the strawberry farms, during all the summer, and it was one of the trends. Before this period, COVID period, it was, I think, mostly for foreigners. They prefer such kind of tourism.
Okay, thank you very much. I already see that we have some questions from the audience. Let me first answer one that's regarding the presentations of Mr. Rein and Mrs. Kitsunova. I'm pretty sure we can share those presentations, and I'm pretty sure that Azerbaijan will do this later on so that we can get all the presentations from the people. There is one very important question, and I think, Mr. Rein, it's very good that somebody asked this. Are there any special parameters for German guests traveling abroad for agrotourism? What should the minimum be that it's provided to make a German guest feel comfortable?
I would say the first reason must be there must be a special natural landscape setting, which is very interesting to travel to the area. Then there must be there should be a lot of traditions which are special and are different or very different from Germany. And then the next is accommodation quality, food quality, and service quality. These are the main topics. But first you need a reason to go to a foreign country for agrotourism. As I said, it's more common in ecotourism because you want to see a special place, a special natural monument, or you've heard of. But for agrotourism, you need a special reason, a very special reason. You have it when it comes to specialities like wine tasting or horse riding. If you know you want to ride special, or there's a country with a special horse riding tradition like Hungary or Spain, then people go to these areas and stay in agrotourism or horse riding accommodations. Or when it comes to wine tasting, then it's, but you need a special reason to travel to these areas. And then the rest must be very good from the point of quality, like accommodation, special food, and service quality.
Okay, thank you for this. Being Austrian, I have one special question when it comes to authenticity. Some of you might know we have some special villages in Austria where they grow a certain kind of vegetable or fruit. Now, we heard before that in Georgia, we even grow kiwi, which are going to be exported. Is there any project in Azerbaijan where we can see there is a special fruit growing that might be available for export?
I can answer that as an Austrian. Leila is here, but let me first, before Leila goes into it, like Azerbaijan is, I think, one of the most exotic fruits, but very local, is the feijoa, which I only know from South America, and feijoa is very widespread here in Azerbaijan, and obviously apart many others, like Azerbaijan is home to pomegranate and many other fruits, but I would say the feijoa is something extraordinary, also what is very lifted up here for tourism. But I'm sure Leila has more insights, because this is...
Yeah, you are right. One of the most popular products is feijoa and products from feijoa, and especially last decade we are increasing production of feijoa, and also we see demand to this product from different countries. Another is King Khan. Also we have I don't know how to call it in English, many other types, very specific exotic products, kind of haifa, for example. So that's why, yes, we have specific products which can be very popular and exported to European countries.
Thank you very much. There would be one question I would like to ask Daria. We know we have plenty of German tourists here in Georgia. Can you tell us something about experience with German tourists that you have, so that others can learn from this? But only the good experiences, please, okay?
Of course, yeah. Basically, the major clientele of our company is actually coming from Germany. So we have a lot of experience, like it's basically starting from small groups and ending with like corporate events for German clients. So we had really good experiences with them. So if you have everything planned, if you have really what we mentioned again, like authentic, real experiences that are culturally enriching, and if there is the feeling that the experience is safe, like even the adventure should be like a safe adventure. So like it's adventurous, but no surprises. In this case, everything goes smooth and the guests are happy. From also like the folk, kind of folk music, folk dance element was always very welcomed by our guests. And I don't know, of course, the wine tastings Georgian way are a bit overwhelming for European people who are used to, you know, like flights of wine and like a short explanation, and then you are showed to the shop, like where the shop is. And in Georgia, it's rather, you know, the whole experience with feast, with toast, with not only talking about what's in the glass, but about the background. So basically the Georgian wine experience is not only the agro, but agri and cultural experience, which is great, which is many people book the wine tastings in Georgia, even though they are not coming here especially for agri-tourism. They would definitely book the wine experience just because Georgia has this kind of cradle of wine background. And hiking wise, safety and kind of the feeling of the unbeaten path. So for example, those regions that are popular among the mass tourists, there are some natural places that are beloved by them. So they would prefer to go to some less known place and experience the real rural lifestyle. So say choose Sureti over Kazbegi or like something like this. Yeah.
And I would add that the German travelers are very interested into exploring the culture of the place they are visiting. So we always looking forward to include the activities which will give them this opportunity to just they love to ask questions. They love to get deep into the culture of the country they are traveling.
So it's also fulfilling to work with them. So it's not only work, but it's also something when you feel that people are genuinely interested. It's very important for the service provider as well.
Yeah. Thank you. I would have another question going to Belarus and Ukraine. Are there any projects you two countries are working together when it comes to ecotourism, agritourism, or is everybody working for his own? Ms. Milosnova, would you please start?
It depends if you are lucky or not in getting grants. We have trans-border project and donors, for example, Ukraine, Belarus, and Poland, and there are some. But particularly in our organization now, we have a project together with Ukrainian, and there are actually Georgia and Moldova, financed by US Forest Service. We are trying to prepare or teach nature guide training, but not only education, but interpretation, because a very important part of education and ecotourism is interpretation. This is what we have with Ukrainian now. Before we have something in rural tourism, because we are a good partner with their national association. So, and for now, that's it. But we are very open, and especially in food now, trials, and actually we are going to apply with Ukrainian for next call transborder cooperation project. This is how it is.
Thank you. Mrs. Permiakova, you want to add something?
Yes, I present a business, so I can't speak about big projects with our countries. But if we check a statistic in 2019, for example, in a big region, Germany was on the third place from foreign tourists here. So it's a big amount, and we like to work with Germans like a tourist, because they likes our history, likes our traditions. And when we had such groups, it's not a big groups, it's mostly individual or up to 10 persons, for example. We try to go to Carpathian Mountains or somewhere to Transcarpathia to be close to the nature and to try lots of traditions. They always ask lots of questions, mostly about traditions. They try to wear in our national clothes and try some traditional foods. So it's all the time very interesting experience. We not go to see sites. We mostly go to the nature or to the farms to try something traditional. So when we try to write some tours for such kind of tourists, for German tourists, we write it by another way than it's for Ukrainians.
Okay. One thought that comes to my mind when we imagine that we are able to open up borders rather quick, I think the tourists that would be the first to come would be the Russian and CIS tourists again. Is there a big difference between CIS customers and German customers? You have to change the model totally, or you can offer more or less the same thing? Sviat, would you be able to answer this?
Yes, with pleasure. There is a big, definitely a difference in many ways, in an economical way as well, and also the interest of travelers. So if you will take the European travelers, again, they are more about exploring nature. They are more looking forward to travel in rural areas, also more interested in culture of the country, as I mentioned in Germany, but it also applies to the majority of the European travelers. They are more looking forward to explore the culture of country. In economical wise, they are spending much more, like per person. Then even let's take countries from Soviet countries, which are one of the leading countries from where we have travelers, guests in Georgia. Globally, in globally. So those people, let's say, as I mentioned, post-Soviet countries, they are They know about Georgia very well. They are very informed because it was and is very popular country for them. In their case, those people are more traveling to spend their time on the sea, to more relax, to spend time by visiting the wineries, for example, because many of them are very interested in wine tourism. And as you may know, the wine tourism is one of our leading, so to say, the part of Georgian tourism. And I will mention also that there is the project which called Wine Route. It was also developed by Georgian Tourism Administration, which was including helping supporting small wine producers, which we are producing very high quality natural wine, and many of them we are producing a natural wine, and that's one of our leading part of tourism. And those people are mostly interested in visiting these areas and the sea, I can say.
Yeah, no, actually, there is not only wine route, but also tea route with the special markups, also like made by a government. But we wish that one day it will be as popular as wine route. It would be a very cool activity, but it needs slightly more PR, more years of advertising. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Sengschmidt, you want to say something? Go ahead.
I wanted to bring in one example, a bit off agro, but more ecotourism. We are launching a product in a month, bird watching in Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan has an amazing variety of bird watching sites, is one of the worldwide countries with large migrations, a big variety in birds. They are actually on the bottleneck between the Caspian and the Caucasus. Basically, this is where also a few nature parks, national parks are, and together with International Ornithology Society, we have developed really the best locations for bird watching across the country. So even in that field, there is lots of opportunities. Again, when you respect what is existent in the country, what nature, culture, and people, culinary products give you, I think developing these into sustainable experiences is really the key to success.
Okay, thank you very much. I have one more question here. Two questions. Let me start this one. There is an SME Development Forum 2022 in the area of tourism next year. And the question is, how can one become a guest house to take part in this? Who would be the right person to answer this question? Because I have no idea. Anybody who can support on this, or shall we answer this question later on? Okay, well then maybe let's do this later on. This was a question from Tamara Ishkneli. Maybe Tamara, you can send an email to Azerbaijan and we will find out how this is going to happen. There is one question from Ilgar Umudov to Daria and Sviat. Do you consider developing cross-border tour products? I guess this means between Azerbaijan and Georgia. Is there anything in the making like this?
Yes, it would be lovely. We have one partner in Azerbaijan. It's also the small company like us, also family run, and also offering the tailor-made tours. We don't have a lot of offers, but we do have some even for this year, and we hope that the borders will be open and our guests will be able to come. So yeah, on the small scale, we do have it, but we are always open to more collaborations. So yeah, we are always here, and let's get in touch, and that's why this forum is a great platform.
Thank you very much.
Allow me one comment. We have developed also together with GIZ here in Azerbaijan an extremely helpful guidebook on training for rural accommodation units and for basically rural entrepreneurs. So this is very. I'm sure this is available also. Let's see if it's also available online. If not, we'll be happy to share with the audience. Also, GIS supported us in making this happen.
Thank you very much. Sviat, you wanted to add something?
Yes, I just wanted to add that it's an amazing opportunity for our countries. I mean, from our region to develop these kind of tours, which will include visiting several countries together, because we can see also that when tourists are coming to visit our countries, they are also looking forward to visit our neighbor countries, which is super easy to do because there is no distance also to cover, and it's easy to cross borders. So yeah, there is a big opportunity, and I also would love to underline that the GIZ did an amazing job, and also WWF was working with us and the other tourist companies from our region countries to help us to create and develop cross-border tourism. So yeah, it's a big opportunity.
Perfect. Thanks a lot.
May I add something?
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, you asked about forum for SME. Last year, one forum was canceled, but I hope this year it will take place in Belarus. This is World Tourism Organization, big events, rural tourism and local development. We have been chosen as a country which has to welcome people from all over the world. And if situation with COVID will be better, it's gonna happen in our country somewhere in fall or I don't know, September, October. So welcome everybody.
That's very, very important information. Please, whenever you have more news about it, spread it, let us know. We will definitely do our best to make happen that some people from Georgia and other countries will visit Belarus for this event.
Super. We like Georgia a lot.
Perfect. That's always good to hear. Professor Rein, as we are coming to an end, you see plenty of young countries here with ambition in ecotourism and agrotourism. Can you give us some final advice how to get things going properly so that they will be successful? Easy question, I know.
Yeah. Take 1 and 2 and 3 and everything is okay. I mentioned some important factors, but what is needed is a good marketing. You have to, the German guest, if it's directed to German guests, they have to know about these offers. It's a difficult task, and because there are so many offers in the world, to find the right offer or the special offers. So it needs marketing campaigns which are directed to the target group. But,
well, I think what I can take from this, which gives me a nice hint, we know the target group.
Yeah.
We are the Außenhandelskammern and the business association.
Maybe you are the perfect link.
We are the ones who can link all those companies to the tourists in Germany. Actually, we in Georgia, we're working on a project when it comes to Georgian wine, because as we know, the Georgian wine is good, but we don't really know how to advise the producers, the smaller producers, to get their product to Germany. Because it's not that easy if you're not a huge producer sending containers, but on the pellets, it's already a problem. Let me advise all of those who are here in the tourism, go to the AHKs or go to the German Business Association in Georgia. We might be able to support you to get the target group reached in Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, if there are no further questions, then I would love to thank you for the participation of this panel. I hope it was rather informative and interesting to you. It definitely was to me. And let me hand back to Tobias Baumann from Azerbaijan. Tobias, you are here? Or maybe Fabian is the one who is taking over now?
No, I'm here. So, and just quickly also to answer Tamara's question yet about the next year's forum. Well, we do not know yet whether there will be a forum 2022. Well, ours is named 2021 because it's 2021, but anything else to future projects is with US aid, and whether they tender it again, I think it depends on how this works out now. But then, of course, it would be a matter of Georgian Association, Mr. Kimmeswenger, and the respective companies which would be able and willing to participate in that forum, that they would participate. So I think this answers the question, and I'm very happy that we get so many hints about wines and trials, and maybe we get even recommendations how to keep on track after the wine tasting and all of that. But I think that is definitely the right direction, and also the right approach to the target group, because it's what I experience here too. Very often a lack of offers for activity tourism, for activity holidays, and going on trials is already something very, very useful and healthy, by the way. So having said that, I would just like to thank everybody for this good panels, for this very, very lively exchange, and all the hints, as I mentioned, and all the questions you've put. A very, very active audience, which is, of course, always what one is wishing and imagining when we organize such a forum. I would like to invite you again for tomorrow's panel on women's business and perspectives of women in business with Niga Bayramle. And then after we have this workshop, right? Also starting tomorrow after the panel number 3. Thank you very much, everybody. That's it for today. And hopefully see you tomorrow again.
Bye, everybody. See you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.